Oshman versus Stimson. Step forward, please.
27-year-old Carolyn Oshman is suing 31-year-old Frank Stimson for assault. Carolyn alleges she suffered injuries after Frank hit her during a traffic dispute. He says she kicked him first.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please. Now, this is case number 233 on the calendar in the matter of Oshman versus Stimson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am, sir.
All right, this case involves a traffic dispute. Miss Oshman, you look like an otherwise intelligent lady. Got yourself involved with this dispute. You want to tell me about it, please?
It was Saturday night, and I was going to get dinner for my husband. I was waiting at a left-hand turn on Sherman Way, which is a busy street.
What kind of a car were you driving?
I was driving a rental car. It was a little Mercury Mystique, I believe. And I was sitting there waiting for traffic to go. There was 2 more cars that needed to go by. It was a little distance between, but not enough. And while I was sitting there, another car came up and started blaring on the horn at me. Didn't let off, so I waited, made my turn. The car tailgated me and followed me into the parking lot where I was going, which was another left in there. And so I turned down the first row of cars, you know, trying to go where I needed to go and get out of the way. And started to go towards the right, and car, you know, kind of punched it a little bit to the right, so I just stopped, figuring, go around me. I'm not moving. And I had a dog.
And it was the same car that had been blowing
it was the same one
the
tailgating
horn.
me.
What kind of car was that?
Well, I couldn't tell until it was later, and it was a '81 Toyota truck.
Truck?
Little pickup. It was small.
Driver. Go.
And so anyway, then when I stopped, I had a dog in the car that I was trying to adopt. And so I checked on the dog, just because she's nervous anyway. And when I looked up, there was, you know, the defendant was walking down towards me, you know, towards my car. So I locked the door, and he came up, kneeled down, and told me I got my license from a Cracker Jack box. And so he kneeled there for a second, paused, he got up, and leaned forward and spit through the crack I had in my window, in my face. So, and then he turned around and walked back, and I got out to get his license plate. His car was parked like maybe an inch off of mine, and what I could see, there was no plate. So I started to walk back, and when I started to walk, he turned around again, and so I yelled at him for spitting in my face, and he turned around and we ended up in a kicking fight. He started kicking me, so I kicked him back, and finally I just, you know, I didn't kick it, but I pushed the door with my foot, because it was at an angle and he was on one side, and it pushed him back into the truck. So I went back to my car, and as I was walking back to the car, he came up and grabbed me by the shoulder and kind of pushed me and started to beat up the car, tried kicking my car. Then he turned around and came at me again. So, you know, he ended up spitting in my face. I was holding him back because he was walking at me. And by the time we kind of did like a circle and came back by the car, and the car was on this side of me, so I was, you know, while I'm holding him back, there was a girl that came walking down from the other side, you know, quickly at us. So I glanced at her, and when I glanced at her, he hit me in the jaw. So.
And then what happened?
Well, my head went that way, and then I turned around and I ducked. And when I did that, I ended up ripping his shirt because I was still holding. And somebody grabbed my arm, you know, for the other direction. So I went that way, and when I looked up, he had 4 or 5 people holding him back. So I went back again to try to get the license plate, and I guess they let him go because I was probably about halfway down there, and he came back and he started pushing me, and I walked like a big circle to the back, and finally got the plate, you know, and he turned around and left once he realized, I guess, what I got.
All right. What kind of medical costs did you have?
I've got chiropractic and for my my jaw. It was actually, it's a specialist. He went through 2 referrals to get to it. He wants, together they're like 44, 60-something, 64 right now. Here's another one. This goes with it. That's all, everything. The bill's right behind it.
I have a lot of questions to ask you.
Okay.
The first one that comes to my mind, as a woman, if some nut comes up to your car and you know that he's been tailgating you, and I don't think that there's any question that he was tailing you, Because I read your complaint and I read his answer. So common sense suggests to me he was annoyed, honking his horn. You live in California? Mm-hmm. It's surprising. People in California don't blow their horns a lot. You know, people in New York blow their horns if you're delayed a split second. Here, everybody sort of hangs out and gives you a chance. I found the drivers here very polite. So, where are you from?
California?
Well, you didn't learn the rules, sir. The rules are you're not supposed to honk your horn.
I beeped my horn briefly. I did not lay on the horn.
I didn't say lay on the horn. I said honk your horn. You honked your horn.
Yes, I did. If someone sits at a green light with no oncoming cars for a good 10 to 15 seconds, they either have car problems or they're just ignorant.
Well, maybe she had car problems.
She obviously didn't.
Ooh. I'll get to you in a minute. It's going to be interesting. I'm not finished with you yet because I'm trying to figure out whether you have all your screws.
Okay.
He comes up to your car, says something that is, it's aggressive. It's aggressive because he stopped his car, he's gotten out of his car, he's approached your car, and you don't know whether he's a nut, right? Somebody dangerous, or just a flake, right? You have your window open a little bit. According to you, he spits in your face. And you get out of the car?
Yeah, I did.
Who are you?
I'm Dan Moran. I witnessed what happened that night.
Wonderful. Perfect. You would agree with me, Mr. Moran, that that's pretty stupid.
That was my first question.
Perfect. For that, you don't have an answer.
No. Well, I wanted his plate.
Your life is more important than his license plate.
True.
And then, after he's put his hands on you, after he struck you in the jaw, after all of that, you still wanted his plate.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to tell you something. Somebody spits at me, and you would have had a lot more than a couple of scratches on your body. A lot!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 27-year-old Carolyn Oshrin is suing 31-year-old Frank Stimson for assault during a traffic dispute. Frank admits he insulted Carolyn, but denies her allegations of assault.
Now your version.
I drove up to the light. She was at the light in front of me, a green light. No traffic was oncoming at that time. I waited for about 10 to 15 seconds. I beeped my horn briefly. She pulled forward approximately 5 to 10 feet and slammed on her brakes. I waited, kind of scratched my head and said, wow, what's that about? She pulled forward through the intersection after that, and when she got into the crosswalk on the other side, she slammed on her brakes again. I sat in the middle of the street with the car coming towards the passenger side of my car, and then the same thing happened again in the next driveway. She consistently tried to get me to rear-end her.
No, she wasn't. She was probably trying to irritate you. This lady, what do you think? She's a scam artist? She's trying to get you to rear-end her? No, she was trying to irritate you like you irritated her.
She's driving a rental car. She doesn't care about the car. She wants money. That's why we're here.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Let me hear.
When we got in the parking lot, she moved along at a snail's pace.
Just a second. How many lanes are there in the parking lot?
There's one going forward and one going the opposite way.
So there's only one way that you could have gone? Is that what you're telling me? Because there's a witness here.
Yes. There's
only one lane that you can go to.
No, I was following her because I wanted to ask her why she was trying to get me to hit her.
That's right. So you were following her?
At that point, yes.
Okay. Why were you following her?
Why was I following her? Because we were both happened to be going the same way at the time. I was going in to develop some film. I don't know why she pulled in the parking lot.
Just a second. You don't... Stupid isn't written here. You just told me that you were following her. That's what you told me. You could have avoided the confrontation by just going in a different direction. So, you stopped your truck, and you got out of your truck, and you walked over to her side, to the driver's window. And what happened at the driver's window?
I had asked her if she got her driver's license out of a Cracker Jack box.
And she said?
She didn't say anything. She just stared at me and laughed.
And what did you do?
I laughed back. I told her that she was kind of a ridiculous driver, acting like a child, and she should go get a real driver's license.
Did you spit at her?
No, I did not.
Oh, I think you're lying.
I did not. I may have used lots of profanity, but I did not spit
What do
at
you
her.
may have used lots of profanity?
I was kind of upset. Anytime someone tries to get rear-ended, something's wrong with them. I told
She
her
wasn't
what I
trying to
thought.
get rear-ended, sir.
She was. If you do this 5 to 6 times, slam on your brakes, that's not normal.
You know what's not normal? Not normal is looking for trouble. Now,
That's what she was doing.
No, listen to me.
Yes.
You started it. She continued it. Right?
Okay.
Is that right? You were annoyed that he honked his horn. Correct?
Yeah, I was annoyed.
So that when you got to the intersection, when you made your turn, and he was following you, you figured, I'm going to give him a little bit of agita. And you slowed down. Is that right?
I went slow because it
Yeah.
wasn't far to turn.
Yeah. And you went slow because you knew that he was behind you. That's what happened. Right?
Yeah, but there's another lane there too, so.
I understand that. He could
Yeah.
have gone around you.
Yeah.
He didn't want to. So you were being dumb,
Okay.
and he was being dumb. So, I don't think you would have gotten out of your car if he had not spit at you.
Nope.
Because there would have been no basis for her, sir, to try at that point to get your plate. None whatsoever. So I believe that you spit at her while using profanity. Now,
I used lots of profanity. I
step
did not
up here,
spit.
sir.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
know this lady?
No, I don't.
Do you know this gentleman?
No, I don't.
I'm going to settle this right now. Tell me what you saw.
When I was finished doing my shopping there in the center, I have a convertible car, so I saw everything. It was very unusual. They were making a left turn into the parking lot from Sherman Way into the driveway. It's a very short distance. I see these 2 cars come in, and the guy was no further than this far behind her, bumper, right on her butt, right on the bumper. He gets out, and at first I'm thinking, well, is this like from a movie? It's like, it was so surreal that, well, it must be a couple, they must be fighting, a domestic dispute, something like that. But what happened, this guy gets out of his car and starts screaming at her. She's got a little crack like that in the window. And I'm like, what is this? And he spits at her, puts a big old loogie on her. And at first I said, well, when I saw her get out of the car, I thought, well, it must be a domestic thing. Hey, I got on the cell phone, I called the police right away. And then all of a sudden, there's 5 other guys on top of this dude trying to restrain him from beating her up. And I don't blame her for jumping out of her car. This guy was totally out of control. Very out of line, so.
See what happens? Sometimes you have an independent witness, sir.
He is not an independent witness.
Oh, tell
Nobody
me.
put their hands on me.
Just a
but
second.
Her.
Just a second.
I should be able to state the rest of my case.
I'm going to let you. I just want you to listen to him before you state the rest of your case.
How close
he doesn't
was he?
know. He doesn't know.
How can he
Hey,
see any of this?
He just told you. He was in his convertible car. He saw exactly how you came in. Is that right, sir?
The cars were no further than the edge of that table
away
there.
Were you?
I was right to the right side of it. So I saw all
And you were the one who called the police.
from my cell phone, yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You got to go on the
Red line.
women's wrestling team, man. You have a nice day.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 27-year-old Carolyn Oshrin and Frank Stimson are in court after a traffic dispute turned violent. Both motorists claim they were assaulted during their argument in a parking lot.
Mr. Stimson, tell me the rest of your case, sir.
Okay, so when I started walking away after I gave her a piece of my mind, not my lungs, I started walking away. She exited her car, ran towards me. I backed up. She ran over and kicked the side of my truck. I said, if that's what you want to do, I went over and kicked her car. She said, it's not my car anyway, ha, 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 and started yelling and screaming at me. She came at me. She tried to kick me approximately 20 to 30 times, at least, swinging at me. At one point, she got a hold of my shirt and she socked me in the face. At that point, and only at that point, did I raise a hand and I pushed her away to try to get away from her. And I have a witness sitting right here who watched the whole thing also.
Step up. Name?
Marcia Gerard. We were just like, we were turning left, and it was a long time before she did turn. And she did make a couple of breaks before she entered the driveway, and then stopped at the crosswalk. Then we followed her in, or Frank followed her in, turned left, and followed right behind her. He did get out of the car, went to her, and I...
Just a second. Now, you're in the car.
Mm-hmm.
What is he saying to you as he's pulling up behind her?
He's just saying, what is wrong? You know, is there something wrong with this lady, or
no,
the person?
exactly what is he saying? I don't think that this man said, I wonder what's wrong with this lady.
No, he did. He said, what is wrong? I mean, does she not go, or is she sick, or something? Is there something wrong?
He thought she might be sick. Is
Yeah,
that what you're
something,
telling
or
me?
else she's injured or something. I mean, she would not go. He honked the horn a couple of times.
So he thought she might be injured, so he ran up to the car and, according to him, said, did you get your license from a Cracker Jack box?
Yes.
He didn't go up to the car and say, are you all right?
No.
So he wasn't so concerned that she was sick, because that's what you would do if somebody is sick. Well, are you an intelligent woman?
Yes, I am.
Did you say to him, Frank, don't get out of the car. This isn't worth... What are you getting out of the car for? Did you say that to him?
No.
Why not?
I just figured he'd handle it himself.
Sir.
One important fact that hasn't been brought up yet, this clown, after he assaulted this woman, this clown left the scene.
I was the one that was
He
assaulted,
left
sir.
the scene. He drove away as the police were arriving and went home, I guess, and made the call, because the police got the call because he knew he had screwed up and,
No,
and filed
not true.
a claim against her, which is totally wrong.
Oh, God. It's so easy when you have an eyewitness who's not related to anybody. What kind of work do you do, sir?
I work in retailing as a business consultant.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, sir, I thank you for coming to court today. Too often citizens who see something happen don't participate in the
I
process.
felt it was my civic duty, ma'am.
You waited for the police?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Stayed through the whole thing. She was
Okay.
traumatized.
Well, I want to tell you something. She may be traumatized, but she's not smart.
Well,
She was just lucky
Yes.
that he didn't have more than his spit
Yeah.
to hurl at her. Because he might have, and then she would have been in real trouble.
very true.
So I hope, madam, that you learned a lesson. A car is a dangerous thing. You don't use it to get even. You don't use it to, you just don't do that. It's not smart. But if you're involved in a dispute with somebody, whether you're a man or a woman, you stay in your car. And if you have a phone in your car, terrific. Otherwise, you drive around and look for a police officer or for somebody else and say, could you please call 911? You don't get out of your car, because otherwise you wind up with that sort of injury.
True.
I would like to say I've got pictures. Now, I was the one attacked here,
Yeah.
and if your statement is so correct, why don't you state what you really saw as far as the altercation went, to where a man is backing away from a woman and a woman is coming at him aggressively, swinging, kicking, and flailing.
Well,
Thank you.
Judge, just answer me.
Obviously, this man was filled with road rage, and it's very obvious. The way that he pulled in right on, it was so weird.
Does
You see someone
pulling
pulling
in
a
have
car.
anything to do with
Excuse me,
physical
I have the
abuse?
floor.
Just a
Excuse
second.
me.
Did you see her assault him?
No, not at all.
Did you
No.
see anybody kick a car?
You're at fault here, fella.
Judge,
Did you see
listen,
anybody kick
stop
a
fighting
car?
with each other. Listen to me. I heard enough.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You're suing him for $5,000. You're counterclaiming for $2,000.
Yes.
You, sir.
Would you like to see the physical abuse? I've got pictures.
Oh, sure. I'll take a look at
many
your pictures.
scratches.
I'll take a look
and
at your pictures.
abrasions.
I'll take a look at your picture, sir. I want to tell you something. Somebody spits at me, and there isn't a question in my mind that you spit at her. Somebody did it to me. You would have had a lot more than a couple of scratches on your body. A lot.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Judgment
If I
in this
had
case is
spit
for the
at-
plaintiff in
if
the
I
amount of
had spit at her.
$5,000, and the countersuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Peters, step forward, please.
30-year-old exotic dancer Kelly Peters and her husband of 6 years, Christopher, are going through a divorce. They have come before Judge Judy to settle their disputes over a car, a cat, a dog, and their intimate home video.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 60 on the calendar in the matter of Peters versus Peters. Judge, the parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Thank you. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Peters, you've been married for 6 years and you're in the process of divorcing.
according to your papers. I think that you've both agreed that your marriage is going to be over, despite the fact that I get some sense in these papers that you still care about each other, that your lives are going in different directions. And you come before me today because there is certain property that you have agreed to permit me to resolve with regard to the issue of ownership. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And once those issues of property are resolved, then the divorce process will be a relatively easy one. Right.
Yes.
Yes,
Take a deep breath. Are you nervous?
a little.
Okay. Mrs. Peters, according to your complaint, there are 3 items at issue.
Right,
There is a car.
right, the car.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 1993 Geostorm GSI. And then the issue of my cat and my dog, he gave my cat away. And we had decided that I would,
So there's a dog,
yes,
because the cat's gone.
yes. And then also we have some videos that we,
Some personal videos that he has that you would like back.
well, I
Would
would
like it
to-
destroyed.
Yes,
Let's start with the car, because my sense is that the car is, in the area of emotions, the easiest thing to resolve.
that's correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, the car is in your name,
Yes, ma'am.
but she pays for it.
That is correct.
How did that come about?
Because when Chris and I had moved to California together, for a while he wasn't working, and I had paid some of his car payments, just 2 of them, so that I was afraid he was going to leave me if he couldn't pay his bills and I go back to Colorado, and I didn't want him to go back, so I paid that. And then I got sick afterwards, and I got really behind on my bills, so my car got repossessed, so I ended up filing for bankruptcy.
I don't believe
And-
you paid my car payments.
Yes, I
Kelly.
did. I did
Well,
twice.
it's really not particularly relevant, because what we're here for is for resolution, not to revisit bad moments.
So anyway,
Does that
that's
sound
why.
right to you?
Yes.
So you had bad credit,
Yes.
but you needed a car,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you helped her.
Yes, ma'am. I told her, I says, now if I sign for this car, you have to promise me that you're going to make your payments on time and you're not going to make this a liability to me.
So you said, I'll sign for it, but promise that you'll make the
Make your
payments
payments.
faithfully and on time.
That's correct, Your Honor.
You don't mind if I help you out a little bit?
No, not a
Because I
bit.
got other cases to do today.
Thank you.
Okay. How much more time has to go on this car loan?
About a year and a half.
And how long was the car loan? 5 years?
Yes.
And you would agree, Mr. Peters, that she has made, even though some of the payments were late, she's made all the payments.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So there really isn't much of an issue about that. When you separated, you took the car.
Yes.
So
Well,
the issue...
the issue is the collection agents keep coming to me wanting those payments because they're always late.
They are not, I'm sorry. Sorry, Your Honor, but they're not always late.
Well, I got just this notice right here that she's behind 2 payments.
I'm not behind 2
Let
payments.
me ask you this question, Mr. Peters. How would you like to resolve this fairly with regard to the car? Let me see what your suggestion is.
Well, I would like to be able to sign it over in her name, but that's impossible because they won't do it because of her credit. So I think that she should at least reimburse me maybe half of what the car is worth, and that way,
How's that going to help you?
well, my car is about ready to go.
How do you think it would be reasonable to resolve this issue? Because what you're really asking is you're asking him to sign the title of the car over to you, and yet he has the liability.
Yes, ma'am.
I've made all the payments up to now. I'm not going to stop making the payments.
Well, I know that because you're driving the car. But if you do stop making the payments, that means they're going to come after him or repossess the car.
I would never stop making the payments. Mm-hmm. I've already paid over $12,000 on that car, Your Honor. I'm not going to stop making the payments. Plus, I paid his car insurance until this year so that he could have car insurance because he didn't want to have
That's
car
not true. You
insurance.
left me with $1,500 worth of bills, and
Chris, that is so not true.
and
a
I
second.
paid the last 2 months of your insurance.
Okay. How much is this car worth now, approximately?
$7,000.
Is that about right?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you have the last statement that you received on the car?
I just have one of the bill that's owed right here.
Can I see it, please? Well, it says this payment, you are delinquent by 1 month.
Actually, that will be true on the 26th. But I'm going to make the payment before the 26th.
Okay. Give me a minute. You still owe a lot of money on this car.
About $6,200, I believe.
She's probably paid about $2,000 in overcharges by now.
No, I have not, Chris.
Wait, she's paid for a long time. I mean, you have had the car for, if she's had the car for 4 years, if she's had the car for 4 years.
But every time she's late a payment, Your Honor,
I am not every time late a payment,
Shh,
Chris.
don't fight with each other. You don't have
Sorry.
to fight with each other anymore. You're getting a divorce. The fighting is over.
Later on Judge Judy.
Have you ever shown this video to anyone?
No, ma'am.
And you want it destroyed?
Yes, I do.
You want to keep it?
Yes, ma'am.
That's sick.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 34-year-old Chris Peters is divorcing his wife Kelly because she won't give up her exotic dancing career. They have asked Judge Judy to arbitrate their dispute over their pets, their car, and their intimate home video.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
I'm going to suggest to you that for the purposes of liability and everything else, that you sign this car over to her so that the car is in her name. You, of course, always have the recourse of suing her in a small claims arena. You don't have to go through lawyers or anything else. You know she doesn't have money now.
Yes, ma'am.
My alternatives are to force her to sell the car, satisfy your loan, and then she'd have $800 left. Because if the car is worth $7,000 and there's $6,200 left to pay on the loan, that would put her in a position of not being able to be employed, really, because she wouldn't have a way of getting back and forth to work. I assume you drive to work.
Yes, I do.
Now, you've been married for 6 years. Are you employed on a regular basis?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
You have a weekly paycheck?
The small one.
Okay. You are not, I assume, Ms. Peters, in your divorce action seeking support from him. Is that correct?
Of course not.
Because you're working. So I want you to look at the long-term picture, Mr. Peters. This car is your insurance. Your insurance that when this whole divorce action is finalized, your wife is not going to ask for support from you because she's not working because she didn't have a car to get to work. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So what it really means is for the next year while this car loan is being paid off, you'll have to sweat it a little bit to make sure, you know, that she's going to make the car payments. You also can feel confident that after all the money she's paid for the car, it is unlikely that she's going to allow the car to be repossessed. I'm telling you right now, if you don't make your payments, the first thing they do is come and get the car. So, Mr. Peters, you're going to sign the car over to her. That way, when your divorce is over, everything's going to be finished. Is that a good idea?
That's fine, Your Honor.
All right, good. So, that was the unemotional part of this dispute. Now, let's get to the dog. The dog's name is Breezy.
Yes.
Breezy is, according to your papers, a boxer.
Yep.
Is that a
Yes.
picture of Breezy?
No, this is a picture of my cat that he gave away without my permission.
Okay.
We'll get to the cat.
Yes,
Okay.
we will.
That's a picture of Breezy.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, according to your papers, Ms. Peters, you had a cat and a dog.
Yes.
You had Mac, the cat,
Yes.
Breezy, the dog.
Right.
And why don't you tell me about the arrangement with the cat and the dog when you separated in November?
Okay. We had agreed that I would take the cat, Mac, and I would let him keep Breezy, even though I didn't really want to let him keep Breezy because she's my dog too, and I love her, and I'm the one that took care of her, paid for her food most of the time, took her to the vet, all that stuff.
You agreed that you would keep the cat and he would keep the dog.
Right, and because I can't have the cat where I'm living right now, he had promised that he would keep Mackie for me until I could get my own place. And I thought that instead of taking Mac at the time and having him stay at a friend's house or having my sister keep him, it would be less traumatic for Mac if he stayed in his own house with his own yard until I could come get him. And he looked me in the eye and promised me that he would take good care of Mac.
The same way she looked me in the eye and promised me she'd make all her payments on time.
Oh,
Mr.
God.
Peters.
I did promise and looked her in the eyes about the cat, and then I'd keep it for her. But sometimes when you get...
So what happened with the cat?
The cat kept urinating all over the house and on my clothes and stuff, and I finally...
Coming up on Judge Judy.
It was totally done just for the two of us. I've never made that kind of video with anyone ever before. And I just did it for him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mr. and Mrs. Christopher Peters are in the middle of a divorce, but they have come before Judge Judy to settle custody of their pets, a car, and a personal home video.
Why didn't you call your wife and say, listen, I'm giving away the cat. You want the cat, come and get it?
Because I knew that the cat needed a home, a good home, and Kelly wasn't prepared. She just left the cat. If she was so concerned about Breezy and the cat, then she should have done something before she left.
Okay.
She shouldn't have just left it up to me.
Mr. Peters, you didn't answer my question.
Why didn't I
Why
call
didn't
Kelly?
You, at that moment,
Because I was
pick up
pissed off?
Right. That's honest. There you go. Okay.
And
That's
I was
honest.
using, and I was thinking, I was thinking that, you know, it was her fault and stuff, and I was sorry. After I gave the cat away, I tried to get the cat back because I realized how much it really meant to Kelly, you know, but at the time of the anger of the moment,
Okay.
I hated the cat.
That's,
so.
just a second. That's honest, Mr. Peters. Shh. Shh. That's honest.
Okay.
Well, so now, Mrs. Peters, your husband acknowledges that he got rid of the cat because the cat was soiling all over the house.
But, Your Honor, it's because he didn't clean out his box.
Whatever, for whatever reason. He didn't like the cat. Maybe he looked at the cat as an extension of you. Is that a possibility?
Maybe.
He acknowledges that he was wrong. That's a step. That's not a reason for me to say that you're entitled to the dog.
And I'm sorry I gave away the cat.
Good. Did you hear that?
Yes.
I am sorry.
Because, you know, it's like he did some... The dog has been with him. The dog has always been with him for the last 9 months. The dog has been with him, living in a place where the dog is accustomed to living. There's a certain routine. So if I were to say, well, you gave away the cat, now I'm going to give her the dog, who I'm really punishing is this dog who had very... You know, dog didn't have anything to do with getting rid of the cat. So that wouldn't be fair, would it? Mrs.
Well,
Peters, would
the
that
dog
be
lives-
fair to the dog?
No, probably
Right.
not.
You're right. It would not be fair to the dog. It's like saying if you have a child and there's a divorce, and if one parent acted badly about something, you punish that parent by saying, well, I'm going to limit your visitation with the child. Because that's punishing the child. It's not only punishing the party, but it's punishing the child for something that the child had no control over. This dog is used to living in a particular place. How old is the dog?
3 years.
So for 3 years, lived in the same place, same home, it's got a yard, whatever. Does it?
Yeah, it's got
Got a
big
yard, has a routine.
She's real happy too, Your Honor.
And there's really no reason for me to uproot the dog because he made a mistake.
Well,
Yes, I did.
He made a mistake. He apologized for it. It was not the right thing to do. So the dog stays with him.
Chris, thank you, Your Honor.
Now, the last thing that we're going to address is this video. Ms. Peters, it's your position that this was a rather intimate video that you and your husband took as husband and wife for fun, for whatever. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you want it destroyed.
Yes, I do.
Your position is you want to keep it.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Well, I have a couple of questions to ask you, sir.
Okay.
Have you ever shown this video to anyone?
No, ma'am, I would never show it to anyone else.
Okay, so you want to keep this for yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
And-
sick. Very sick.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's not as nasty or whatever that you want to think. I mean,
Your
it
Honor,
was
it's very
too-
graphic.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Peters, an exotic dancer, and her husband Chris Peters are divorcing. Judge Judy is deciding what happens to their intimate home video.
There is no reason that I can think of for divorced people to keep pictures, videos, photos of each other that the other party might find embarrassing.
Well, there's nothing embarrassing about it. It was just, you know, I mean, it's like, I love Callie. I'm always going to love her, and it's just, I mean, it's not as nasty or whatever that you want to think. I mean,
Your
it was
Honor, it's very graphic.
Just a second. I don't want to hear about it. I thought I was being very...
Sorry.
I thought I was being very circumspect about it. I said that there was an intimate thing done with...
I have
between
many
us.
other videos of her, too. I mean, that's not in the same category,
This
but...
is what she wants. This is the one that offends you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Bell, I'm going to say this to you one more time, sir, and listen to me very carefully. When you divorce, if you're lucky, you're left with certain pleasant memories that you try not to forget. You know, you had good times with your wife. It just so happens that in your case, after 6 years, your lives have taken a different path. She doesn't want to have to worry about these photographs, these videos, falling into anybody else's hands. God forbid you're out in a car and your car is in a wreck and you are there comatose and your mother goes through your things and she says, I wonder if these are pictures of Chris when he was out skiing, and your mother plays this video. Do you understand what I'm saying, sir? You know, it's one of the reasons why people are always supposed to wear clean underwear all the time and keep their houses neat. You never can tell what's going to happen. There are all kinds of situations that I can conceive of where even if you don't intend something to happen, this can fall into the wrong hands. Someone can burglarize your house. That's a possibility. Isn't that a possibility?
I don't think they'd find the tape.
They're certainly not going to find it, sir, because there isn't going to be a tape.
So there's nothing I can say because...
There is absolutely nothing, sir, that you can say to me that would satisfy me that there is any logical, rational basis for you maintaining anything that might prove embarrassing to her. And if she had something that might prove embarrassing to you, I can guarantee you, sir, it would be in my possession if it was the subject of this litigation, and it would be destroyed.
Do you?
No, of course I don't.
Good. Officer Byrd, you and I are going to take care of this video in the back. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Peters, listen to me. It's resolved. This is going to be destroyed. It's going to be destroyed within the next 5 minutes. Officer Byrd and I are going to have fun. We're going to create a little bonfire in my chambers. Now, then you don't have to worry about it anymore, Mrs. Peters. So let us see how we resolve this case. The Geo
Yes, ma'am.
is going to be registered in your name. The dog, Breezy, sir, is yours.
Thank you.
The video is mine. This case is over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
And on the next Judge...
And now, the next case.
Parties on. Mendoza versus Taylor. Step forward, please.
Camelia Mendoza fell deeply in love with Rory Taylor after she met him in the personal ads. He cheated. They split. Now she wants the money for his bullets.
Don't start crying.
I won't.
Okay, Miss Mendoza, I gather from your complaint that there's more than just a little bit of money that you're suing for that causes you to come to court.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Right.
You were dating Mr. Taylor for a while. You say that you lent him some money, but it was a rather small amount of money.
Right.
And then he made some long-distance phone calls on your phone that you want money for. I mean, the whole business is a couple of $100s.
Exactly.
So tell me why you're here.
Well, he said he would pay me back, and now he's claiming that I gave him the money, which I didn't.
How long were you dating?
Off and on for like 7 or 8 months.
Is that right?
Yes.
And what caused you to stop dating?
He cheated.
That true?
Well, she wanted to get married, and I was separated from my wife already. You know, I'm only 26 years old. I didn't want to get married again. You know.
You wanted a commitment?
Yeah, but not a marriage commitment.
You wanted him to be monogamous?
I wanted to be the only person in his life, and he just couldn't give me that.
Okay. So, tell me about these loans that you made to him. What were they for?
I had loaned him $55 for bullets, and he had to renew his guard card and range
All
time.
right, let's go back.
Okay.
You had to renew a guard card. What kind of guard
It was a
card?
gun card.
A what?
It was a gun card. I used to work security.
So she gave you the money.
Yes.
You think it would be right if you gave it back to her?
Well, I probably would have done that, but she was saying it was like a gift.
She said gift, or did you think it was a gift?
She said there was no obligation on paying it back. That's what she said.
But just a second, Mr. Taylor. Did she say to you, you are under no obligation to pay this back?
She said you don't have to pay it back to me.
Did you ever say that to
No,
him?
I didn't.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
He made a lot of third-party calls charged to my phone and had no permission for them. And we're talking 2.5 pages front and back of nothing but third-party calls.
Seems to me that that's an obligation that you should pay for.
Well, she never once said I would have to pay it back to her.
Camelia Mendoza fell deeply in love with Rory Taylor after she met him in the personal ads. He cheated. They split. Now she wants the money for his bullets.
What else do you think he owes you for, Ms. Mendoza?
When he was working in another city, he made a lot of third-party calls charged to my phone and had no permission for them. And we're talking 2.5 pages front and back of nothing but third-party calls and $82 something of calls, which he had no permission for. I'm on AFDC right now. Why would I give anybody permission to charge on my phone?
Did you make third-party calls?
Yes, with her permission. Again, she gave me permission to make calls. I used to work in LA. I couldn't call direct if I needed to use the phone for business. She would let me, she said it was okay to make the calls to her, bill to her house. If I wanted to call her collect, I could have no problem.
I'm not talking about calling her collect.
Okay, well, third-party calls, she said I could do it, since I couldn't call direct from the work where I was working.
Okay, but it seems to me that that's an obligation that you should pay for.
Well, she never once said I would have to pay it back to her.
Can I see the phone bill, please?
From here, front and back, on these 2 pages.
Would you show those to Mr. Taylor Bird, please? Who'd you call? Mr. Taylor.
I'm looking this over. I don't even recognize the number as Palencia.
Not those ones. On the other half of the page.
Let me get these highlighted. All these ones are highlighted?
Yeah. To his pager, his brother's work.
She would page me quite a bit, my voicemail. And in order for me to check it, she said it's okay to charge to her house so I can check my pages and my voicemail. Sometimes I need to call my brother.
Well, your brother is one thing. She's one thing, but your brother is something else. And your pager is something else.
I'm saying, but she said I could call and bill to her house with no problem.
No way.
That's why, if she would have said I couldn't have done it, I wouldn't have done it.
Well, why don't you bill it to your own phone?
I didn't have a phone.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned.
All right, it's $82. Let me see it. What else, Mrs. Mendoza?
I had told him before when he'd call collect, I said, look, I can't afford.
We're not talking about the phone. The phone I've just resolved. Anything else that you say he owes you for?
That's it.
Okay. You get a little lecture first, okay? Don't lend money to your boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah, you just told me you were on AFDC.
Right.
Which means the government is giving you money.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Which means that I'm the taxpayer, so I'm giving you money. Right?
Right.
Bird is a taxpayer. He's giving you money to live.
Right.
Neither Bird nor I are in love with Mr. Taylor. So when you give Mr. Taylor money, it's like Bird giving him money. What?
Right.
Your AFDC is supposed to just cover your basics. It's not supposed to subsidize his lifestyle. Okay?
Right.
Why aren't you working?
I can't find a job.
Sure you can.
I went out and filled out applications yesterday.
Miss Mendoza, the only way you're going to feel good about yourself is if you get a job, you're young, you look healthy, right?
Right.
There's no reason why you can't work. Sometimes you got to start at the bottom level, right?
Right.
Work hard and work your way up.
Right.
That's the American dream. But you're not going to do it if you sit home, collect AFDC, and support guys who don't have telephones. We understand each other?
Yes.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $137. That's all.
Why is that excuse? You may step out.
Judge Judy
is suing her ex-boyfriend, Thomas Davis, for unpaid rent, a loan to get his car out of impound, property damage, and the value of a gun.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 320 on the calendar, the matter of Dios versus Davis.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Dios, the defendant was a former friend and then a boyfriend of yours, and you claim he owes you for some bills, a loan, some rent, and a confiscated gun.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you want to explain to me the living situation between the two of you?
The living situation was that it was a one-room suite. We started off as friends. We were dating for a short period of time. We broke up after roughly 2 weeks, and we remained friends at that point.
Let's go.
Did you want, like, more
Well, I want to know,
detail?
he moved into, you want rent from him. Rent for what period?
From August and September, Your Honor.
When did he live with you?
He moved in May, Your Honor. And he was paying rent up to August, and then he wasn't able to, or whatever his problem was.
And
I would have been willing to wait, you know, had he intended to pay me a little later, but he just kind of decided he wasn't going to pay me when we started fighting. He started getting jealous of the fact that I was studying with friends and hanging out with other friends, and
well,
they were
this was in
guys.
a one-room apartment, so I assume that you shared the bedroom. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So he paid when he first came, and then he stopped paying in August?
Correct.
Did you tell him to leave in August?
No.
No. What about September? Did he pay in September?
He was also not paying in September.
Did you tell him to leave in September?
Yes, I told him to start looking for a place to live.
Great. And that was because he wasn't paying rent, or is that because you were fighting?
Both, Your Honor.
Fine. Did he find another place to live?
He said he was looking. He did
find
not.
another place to live?
No.
Where are you living?
In my car at the moment.
When did you move out of her studio into your car?
October 1st.
Why are you living in your car?
I'm waiting for an apartment to come through. I should be moving into an apartment next week, but right now I'm just living in my car. I don't have a place to stay at the moment.
What kind of car are you living in?
The 2001 Civic.
And where do you park it to sleep?
Sometimes I leave it near a friend's house or leave it in Little Tokyo or a parking garage.
And you shower at friends' houses?
Yes.
What's the name of the last friend with whom you showered?
Daniel.
Do you sometimes stay in his house?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure
Sure.
that this living in my car wasn't something that I was visualizing you doing on a regular basis.
Not every night.
Right. Okay. As long as we understand each other. Okay. Do you owe her rent?
No, I do not.
Were you paying her rent?
We didn't have any verbal contract to pay rent, but I was giving her money here and there to help out.
How much money were you giving her here and there?
I tried to give her $300 a month just to consider it close to half the rent.
Just a second. Sure. $300 per month. And you gave her $300 per month when?
From when I moved in until August.
What happened in August?
We started fighting and arguing, and it just became a really hostile living environment.
But you stayed there in August?
I did.
So you owe her $300 for August. And what about September? Did you stay there in September?
I did, Your Honor.
Did you pay her for September?
No, I did not.
Then you owe her $300 for September. What else do you think he owes you for?
Ma'am, I lent him $800 to get his car out of impound.
When?
This was on the 13th of August.
How did your car wind up in impound?
When I first moved out here to California from Missouri, I was staying with my uncle. I stayed with him for about a year. We had some disagreements, and I had to move out. I was living in a homeless shelter, and I stayed there for 6 months. And
Wait,
I did
don't
acquire...
need a whole story.
All right, well, I acquired...
This is not War and Peace. Just tell me about your car.
Sorry, Your Honor. I got some tickets while I was homeless, and I forgot about them, and my car was rightfully impounded.
Why did you get tickets?
I was parked in illegal spots.
Why would you park in illegal spots if you had no money?
I was looking for a place to sleep at the time, or leave my car. I wasn't able to leave my car at the homeless shelter.
Do you know that I actually don't believe your story?
Okay. I'm not sure why.
It's simple, because I'm looking at you and I don't believe that somebody who looks relatively normal would park their car when they had no money for a place to live in an illegal spot, risking getting parking tickets and getting load of parking tickets and just ignoring them and continuing to park illegally.
I wasn't driving my car, Your Honor. I didn't have a job. I was homeless. I was just trying to find a place to leave it.
So why can't you park in a legal parking space?
In Pasadena, you can't park anywhere overnight. You get tickets. So I didn't have a private lot.
So why do you have to stay in Pasadena?
That's where the homeless shelter is.
That's the only homeless shelter?
There are others, but that was the program that I was following. That's what I was allowed into.
Well, explain that to me.
Well, you have to do an intake through the homeless shelter. You go through passageways, and then you have to do overnight guest. And if they determine that your behavior is okay, then they let you into the homeless shelter and you become a resident. And you live there, and they move you into a bed, and you have to stay there and follow their program. Attend their meetings, look for a job, put money away, and when you move out of the shelter, they give you the money back.
And what did they tell you to do with the car?
They told me just to figure it out.
So you figured it out by just leaving it in illegal spots?
I gambled on occasions, and I did lose.
Okay. So if you gambled, you lost, they're your tickets, you pay for them. Why should she pay for them?
Well, it was her choice to help me out.
No, I understand you didn't put her on a rack, but it was your choice to behave irresponsibly. It was your choice to take a risk. It was your choice to gamble with getting a ticket. You did get a ticket. You did, in fact, ignore it. Why should somebody else assume that responsibility?
Well, I was content with the car being impounded. I was planning on selling it anyway.
Well, impounded doesn't mean that you could sell it.
Right. And
Fine. You prepared to turn it over to the plaintiff?
No.
Just a second. If it didn't make any difference to you whether you had a car or not, because you were planning on getting rid of it anyway, and you couldn't get it out of impound because you didn't have the money, why don't we just turn the car over to the plaintiff and she'll sell it and recoup the money from the sale for the parking tickets? Why don't we do that? I'll write the order. How do you like that?
I would not like that, Your Honor.
Well, then why are you giving me a bunch of baloney that you were planning on getting rid of the car anyway and it could have stayed in impound? It didn't really make much difference to you. That's what the connotation of what you were saying to me, Mr. Davis.
Well, I was hoping...
What were you hoping for?
Well, when the impound had my car, I was going to let them just keep it, but they told me that they were going to...
No. Listen to me. Let them keep it. That means that it builds up fees every day.
Yes.
You could never get it out.
I know that.
What I'm suggesting to you is, why don't we just turn it over to Miss Dios and let her sell the car and recoup some of her losses?
Well, Your Honor, I would not like that, mostly because at the moment I am currently homeless. I'm trying to get into the homeless shelter again, but it takes time. So in the meantime...
Meanwhile, you're staying with your friend. So how come we don't have, yes, of course, Miss Dios can have the car. She paid to get it out of impound, and I don't have the money to give her.
But we never had an agreement that I had to pay her back.
Mr. Davis, you following where I'm going, sir?
Yeah, for the most part.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He started kicking the chair I was sitting in. He gave me a nice bruise on my thigh, pushed me around. The gun is what he told the cops I had threatened him with, and I didn't even have any ammo for it.
And later today...
You don't have a pair of long pants?
I assumed this is appropriate since it's sold in stores.
Did you ever go to church?
Yes, I did.
Would you wear that outfit to church?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ann Dios says ex-boyfriend Thomas Davis owes for rent, a loan, property damage, and for the value of a confiscated gun.
Okay, now you want to get into this gun situation, please?
Happily, Your Honor. The reason he moved out the 1st of October was I had to call the cops on him. It was a very unpleasant event. I had to get on my computer. That meant waking him up on accident because his legs were in the way of the chair. And he said something quite rude to me, and so I decided, okay, I have to study, I have to put up with his presence because he wasn't moving out, and I was having to go through an eviction process, possibly, to get rid of him. So I decided I was going to listen to music while I studied because...
Whatever.
So he decided he was going to kind of fly off the handle. He started kicking the chair I was sitting in. He gave me a nice bruise on my thigh. He pushed me around. The gun is what he told the cops I had threatened him with, even though I hadn't. and I didn't even have any ammo for it.
So they confiscated it?
They confiscated it because he told them that I had threatened him with it. It was a malicious act.
Have you asked for it back?
I have, Your Honor.
And?
And I cannot get it back because it's currently being held by the detectives. They're still writing the report on the incident, but
well,
also...
then you'll get it back.
Well, they're saying that I won't because it's not registered to me. It's still registered under my father. And
But then you may not. Then you can't have it.
But the only reason it was confiscated, Your Honor, was because he claimed that I threatened him
Ms.
with
Diaz,
it.
I can't help you with the gun matter. If you're legally entitled to get the gun back, they are obligated to return the lawful weapon to you. If it's not a lawful weapon, I can't compensate you for having a weapon that you shouldn't have had in your house to begin with being confiscated. I know that that may be a difficult thing for you to understand, so close your mouth. Courts can't compensate you for illegal activity, irrespective of who brought the illegal activity to the attention of the police. Having a gun that is not registered in your name is something that you can't have. And if the police refuse to return it to you, so be it. But he owes you $1,400, $6 for rent and $8 for your loan. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We just started fighting and it became a hostile living environment, and we just didn't really get along after a while.
When he attacked me the morning of the 1st, it was all one-sided.
It was a really nasty fight. She hit me with a chair, woke me up out of my sleep.
He just flew off the handle.
We got into a huge argument. We started pushing each other around, and she threatened to shoot me.
Lied to the cops when they got there.
The cops said we could either both go to jail or none of us go to jail.
He didn't like me breaking up with him.
In order to keep both of us out of jail, they had to separate us.
He didn't like the fact that I was studying with other friends.
I wish we were able to get along better.
Do not let a friend move in for any period of time, because if you're not the landlord...
Is Judge Judy.
Party's on. Goldsmith versus Lubers. Step forward, please.
The prospective groom, Mark Goldsmith, got drunk at his bachelor party. Then he got mad because his fiancée, Kimberly Lubers, had males at her bachelorette party. The wedding is off.
Order. All rise. Judges number 51 on the calendar in the matter of Goldsmith versus Lubers. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Aw. You look like you belong together. You make such a handsome-looking couple. So, Mr. Goldsmith, you were engaged to Miss Lubers and planning a big wedding. You had a bachelor party, she had a bachelorette party, according to your complaint. And the night of the bachelorette party, you had a major fight.
Argument, correct.
And called the whole thing off. So far, right?
Yes.
You say that Miss Lubers then took a credit card that you had sort of held in. She moved out, took the credit card.
Correct.
Went and spent over $1,000 on the credit card.
Correct.
She says she spent the money, right?
Yes.
But she has a countersuit because she says that she spent a whole lot of money, including money for the wedding that
Correct.
she's at, that you said you weren't going to pay for.
She never asked me to pay for it, Your Honor.
Okay. So...
No, that's not true, actually.
Let's start from the beginning. What got you so angry, sir, that you came home, according to you, and said, it's off?
Well, when she told me that there were couples at her party, I didn't understand it. And I had already been feeling kind of, you know, insecure and unhappy with the, you know, that's why I said to her that, you know, I'm tired of being on the back burner with you and your friends. And so that's why I was angry about couples being there. And
Our mutual roommate, who was a male, his girlfriend, and another couple. And she wanted...
There were some couples at her party.
Right, it was all couples, correct.
Because I had just moved here, I didn't have any friends, so my matron of honor, she had her husband there, our mutual roommate, who was a male, his girlfriend, and another couple. And she wanted to provide a nice party for me. There were no strippers, it was not anything risque. And he was upset because there were men there.
Because it was couples there. I didn't, it wasn't because
Where'd you
of
go
them.
on your bachelor party?
I went out with my brother and about 8 or 9 friends drinking.
Did you come home a little tanked that night?
Yeah, I was very tanked, to tell you the truth. Very tanked.
Did you say some things that night that you wish you hadn't said?
Yes, I did. And I told Kim, Your Honor, the next morning when I woke up, I didn't even remember half the things that I had said, and that's when she had told me, and I'm like, you know, I love you, I'm very sorry.
This isn't the first time, though, he had made instances. As we were preparing for the wedding, he had taken the invitations and thrown them in the garbage, saying, I don't want to marry with you. I'm going to Boston to be with my friend Gary. I don't want to be with you.
Because,
He'd
Your
also
Honor,
taken the engagement ring and put it in his pocket because he had been drinking, and he said, I did not deserve to wear it because of another occasion where I had been out with my girlfriend preparing for the wedding.
Well, maybe you're both pretty lucky. It sounds as if, even though you probably care for each other, if you can't resolve these problems, you're probably better off not getting married.
Right.
Until you can. So let's get down to the money aspect of it.
Right.
You have certain expenses.
Yes.
Because I'm going to take care of his credit card that you used that you shouldn't have. Right, Kim? You shouldn't have used his credit card. You knew that.
He had given me the card to use. My cards were
Your
already
Honor, that is
maxed
totally
out
untrue.
because
Totally
of the wedding expenses and the situation that happened. I went out and I bought some things.
Well, but at this point, you knew that you weren't together anymore. You'd called off the wedding.
We were still together at
you
that
had called off the wedding.
Right, but we were still in a relationship.
But you had called off the wedding.
Yes.
So it wasn't right of you to use his credit cards once you'd called off the wedding. Now, let's get to the wedding expenses. What arrangements had you made with each other for the cost of this wedding?
When we first talked about being engaged and getting married, Kim knew that I had one credit card to my name, which we used up what we could on there for the wedding ring. So
No,
I told
you
her
used
that
half, and the other half you
Right.
said you didn't want to max out your credit card because
I
you went
maxed
and
it
bought.
out with that half.
Yeah, you.
It was
no,
already maxed.
You
Where's
bought
the, just a second, where's the ring?
He
There
threw
is
it
no
away.
ring. When we were arguing, like she said, I put it in my pocket. I had a hole in the pants pocket that I had put it in. And when after we had made up that day, we left to go to the grocery store, and that's when it fell out, and
But
we
he
never
had been
found it.
drinking and arguing with me.
Just a second, but you had the ring.
Yes.
He had the ring.
You took the ring back.
Yes.
So if you lost it, you lost it. You got to pay for it. That's your problem, as long as she gave it back to you. You lost it.
Judge Judy will be right back.
She decided that she didn't want to marry somebody who came home drunk and said a lot of nasty things. Do I think she had cause?
The prospective groom, Mark Goldsmith, got drunk at his bachelor party. Then he got mad because his fiancée, Kimberly Lubers, had males at her bachelorette party. The wedding is off.
The hacienda, is that where you were supposed to be married?
Yes.
Correct.
Did you put down a deposit? Is that what this
I paid for
$2,800
everything.
for?
Yes, I paid for the whole amount.
Had you agreed that you were going to split the expenses for the wedding?
Evenly.
I was already paying on one of the cards when we split
For the
up.
ring?
No. I was paying on the ring, the half that was on my card, and one of her cards that had wedding charges on it.
They weren't wedding expenses
And when
that he
we
was
split
paying
up,
for.
Your Honor,
Kim, listen up. The hacienda, get out the bill, $2,816. Costume connection. What's the costume connection? For your wedding.
that was for our engagement pictures.
An engagement photo. He wanted to do it in costume instead of just a regular photo.
You have the bill for that?
Yes.
Get it out.
I believe you did too, Kim.
I'm
Well, that's
asking
okay.
for half.
I'm not going to charge you for all of these, sir. You're responsible for half of the cost of these things. If the wedding broke up and you had originally planned on paying for the wedding together, you broke up, so you got to pay for half of the expenses for the wedding, not of every other thing that she's got listed here, because that's ridiculous. Because when you separate...
Even though she canceled the wedding?
No, sir. Listen to me.
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
It doesn't make a difference who canceled the wedding. You came home drunk the night of your bachelor party.
Correct.
You said a lot of things that you regret saying.
Correct.
But, I mean, you say correct. Based upon that, she decided that she didn't want to marry somebody who came home drunk and said a lot of nasty things. Right. That's reasonable, so she canceled the wedding. Do I think she had cause? Maybe. Whatever it is, it's canceled. So you got to pay half. She's not going to get stuck with all the wedding expenses. It's ridiculous. Come on. All right, you see? It would have been cheaper for you, sir, if you just let the credit card go. Because this, I have a feeling, is going to cost you more money. Hacienda brides.
That's the wedding dress.
You have the wedding dress?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And it was altered?
Yes, it was.
Because you have an alteration charge here.
Yes.
The wedding day, what is that for?
That's gifts for our attendants.
Did you buy them?
Yes, I bought them.
And you have all the bills?
Yes, I do.
Okay. PJ and DJ, what is that?
That's the DJ that we were going to hire for the wedding.
And you gave him a $100 deposit?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Bonita Fine Jewelry, $487. What's that for?
That was his ring.
Which I gave back to her.
Which I do have.
Good, so return it. Strike that. Avante Gardens, $100. What is that?
The florist.
Richard Carr Photography, $200.
Photographer.
Mm-hmm. Alterations by Alice. I assume that that's for the wedding dress, $90.
Yes. And then there's on my visa, which is my half of the wedding ring, which I do not have possession of.
Okay, so you put half of the engagement ring on your credit card.
And he said that he would pay me back.
Untrue.
You mean you wanted her to pay for half of her
No,
wedding
when we
engagement
discussed
ring?
these negotiations, Your Honor, we didn't say, look, you'll pay me back for this and you'll pay me back for that. You know what I mean? It was just like, this is all I can do, Kim, with what I have.
But you took the ring back. Yeah. So that why should she pay for any part of the engagement ring if you took it back? Do you understand,
Correct.
Mark? The fact that you lost it is irrelevant.
Right.
You did take it back. And how much was the ring that you put on the credit card?
$838.93.
Can I forget the cents on these things?
Sure.
Because I'm not really good in math. Bert will tell you that. Now, Mark, do you have any wedding expenses that you paid for?
Other than the ring? Half of the ring?
Which ring?
The one that I lost.
The one that you have.
Correct. Well, I don't have. The one that I lost.
The one that you got back that you lost.
Right.
Other than that, you paid
No.
for nothing. Okay. Oh, this is a matter of math. All right, so half of the wedding expenses are $2,554. That's half of the wedding expenses, and that includes your $838 for the ring. I am deducting from that the $1,027. Mark, you owe Kim $1,527. So that's all. Thank you.
He would have been smarter just to walk away with what he had. He had always felt left out whenever I wanted to do something with my matrimony.
Exactly. When John's coming home. When John's coming home, Cheryl looking at me funny and...
John looks at you funny because of you, Mark, not because of anything that anybody's doing. Oh, yeah, I'm just an instigator, yeah.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Citron versus Richard. Step forward, please.
Rebecca.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus View. Step forward.
Chad Johnson is suing his former friend, 21-year-old Casey View, for loans to get his car out of impound and to have it repaired.
Who is this person?
This is my sister.
Is she a witness to these
She is.
proceedings? Did she know she was coming to court today?
She knows.
Where's the rest of her outfit?
That was the most professional clothing she could find, I guess.
You don't have a pair of long pants?
I do, but I assume this is appropriate since it's sold in stores.
Since it's what?
Sell in stores.
Sold in like business apparel stores.
Yes,
is what
business
she
apparel.
meant.
Different kind of business, I guess.
Do you go to church?
No, I'm a Christian.
Did you ever go to church?
Yeah.
Did you ever go to church?
Yes, I did.
Would you wear that outfit to church?
No, I wouldn't.
No. Yeah, I just wanted to know where your head was at. Now, you claim you loaned him some money twice. He was a friend of yours.
Correct.
He says that on one occasion there was no money exchanged, even though you had contemplated it because you needed some money to get his car out of impound. He says that he never received the money. And the second loan, which was a small one to fix the fuel pump on his car, he paid you by letting you have his computer. Do I have that right?
That's correct.
What is your sister a witness to?
She's the one who loaned me the $200.
Does she have bank statements to show me that?
She does not have a bank account. She just cashes her check.
I'm hungry. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I do have a bank statement.
Just tell me what the money was for. He was your friend. Let's go. When was it?
Okay, it was on 5/7. I pulled out $200 from my account to loan him to get his car out of impound.
Go ahead.
And a few weeks after that...
Did you give it to him?
The money? I didn't personally hand it to him. I left it on some DVDs because I had to go to work that day.
No,
and
he left
came
it
over.
outside.
Shh. Hey.
You left it on top of DVDs where?
Right by my front entrance of the door. I put it actually under a case. I have a DVD booklet. I put the $200 underneath the DVD booklet and left my door unlocked, and I said, it's...
Great, it's gone.
Right.
He never got it. Next.
And then a few weeks later, he called me up saying this car wouldn't start. So I went over and looked at it, and I didn't have the proper tools, so I said, well, I'll use my AAA to get the car towed to my house so I could take a better look at it.
Well, can you use your AAA in order to have somebody else's car towed?
Well, I didn't charge him labor.
No, I'm just asking you a question. You have AAA. Are you allowed to use your AAA to get a friend's car towed?
Yes, you are.
You are?
Yes.
Why would anybody? One person in the United States should have AAA and everybody else should use it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you see what happens, sir, when you're trying to fun with me? You get to trip over your tongue. I actually do enjoy watching it. It's part of the pleasure of my business.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chad Johnson claims former friend Casey View owes for 2 unpaid loans. Casey says Chad took his laptop for collateral, so he doesn't owe.
Okay. So you used your AAA to get his car towed to your house?
Correct.
And?
And I diagnosed it and found out that the fuel pump was no longer working. So I told him that, and I said, I will do the work for you. I won't charge you any labor, but you have to buy the part. And he agreed to that. So a few days...
Had you had a discussion about the previous money that you allege you loaned to him?
Yes.
Because at that time, he had already, according to you, taken you for $200, and now it's $200 plus parts.
What happened was, he didn't pay me back yet when the car repair had, and I said, originally I had said that...
Just a sec. Do you see what happens, sir, when you're trying to fun with me? You get to trip over your tongue. I actually do enjoy watching it.
Oh, yeah?
Every once in a while, it's part of the pleasure of my business. Let's start again.
Okay.
He hadn't given you the money back that you had previously, according to you, loaned to him.
Correct.
Now you're going to advance him money. You used your AAA, you got the car towed to your house, and the car needed a fuel pump, and you were going to advance him the money for the fuel pump, despite the fact that he had not paid you back an initial $200 loan. So far, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now you're going to explain to me why with trying not to trip over your tongue.
Okay, there's a very good reason for that. He was telling me that he was at risk of losing his job because he could not get to work because he did not have a car. So if he lost his job, he would not be able to pay me back. So I made the proposal. I said, tell you what, you give me $50 out of every paycheck. I will go get the part, and I will put it in your car, and then you can get to work. So that's what I did. He agreed to that, to those terms.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a technician. That's what I do.
What kind of technician?
I'm automated conveyor systems.
Who do you work for?
Super Value.
How long?
I've been there for 5 years.
What do you do for a living, Mr. View?
I am a customer service manager at Walmart.
How long have you worked for them?
About 7 months.
When did the plaintiff put a fuel pump in your car?
I would say May.
May of 2010?
Yep, around my birthday.
Yup is not an answer.
Yes, Your
Yes
Honor.
is an answer. Yup goes with that outfit.
The $200 he says he loaned me.
Forget the $200. He left the door unlocked. Somebody else took it. What's next?
For the fuel pump, it's true, he did fix my car and tow it with his AAA, but our agreement was that he would take my laptop as collateral, which he did. And then about a month later, there was a guy coming into town for Pride, which was Gay Pride, what we were having, which was apparently his crush, and he told me not to talk to the guy. And I went over to the guy to talk to him, which upset him. So he decides to ask for his money back.
Just a second. Where's your computer?
He has my computer. I gave
Your
it to him.
laptop?
Yep, my laptop.
Do you have his laptop?
I do not have his laptop. He told me it was
there.
stolen.
Hmm?
He told me it was stolen.
If it was
I
stolen,
do
I
not
would
have
have
his
filed a
laptop.
police report.
Just a second. Did he give you his laptop?
He did not give me his laptop.
Did you ever have possession of his laptop?
I never had possession of his laptop.
Well, what's the story about the laptop?
He asked if he could use the laptop as collateral to do the fuel pump, and I said, yes, you can. But supposedly, a few days later, his laptop got stolen.
If it was stolen, I would have filed a police report.
And it was a $200 laptop. I don't think you can file a police report for something that small.
Don't answer him. I want to see the bill for the fuel pump.
Sure. I have that right here.
Judge Judy continues.
Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Okay, the fuel pump was $269?
Yes.
When did he put the fuel pump in your car?
It took him like
When?
2 weeks. I'm not sure. May?
You owe him $269.24 for the fuel pump.
Why do I owe him? The only reason why he's doing this is because I wouldn't sleep with him.
I don't care.
I have papers saying that he would
Listen to
take
me.
the laptop
Listen.
and the original receipt.
Listen to me, my friend. You owe him $269 for the fuel pump. Is that car still working?
It is, but he has my laptop, like I said.
I don't believe it.
Well, it
I
says
don't
on
believe
paper
it.
that he's willing to accept my laptop.
Just a second. When you give somebody collateral, that doesn't mean that you've paid for it.
Well, he has my laptop. He took it as
You
collateral.
owe him $269 for the fuel pump.
Okay.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
To fix his car, pay off court fines, and to reinstate his gym membership.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 310 on the calendar in the matter of Pennington versus Mobley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Pennington, when did you and the defendant start to date?
April of this year.
And when for the first time did you loan him money?
I loaned him money 3 weeks after that.
For what?
I gave him money for his car to be fixed, as well as money to get his LA Fitness back on order.
And how much were those two loans?
I gave him a couple $100 for AutoZone to get fixed for his car, and then another $150 for his LA Fitness membership.
Tell me how that came about.
He text messaged me asking me for money to get his car fixed to go back and forth to work, and I felt as though I needed to help him being his girlfriend, which we were in a relationship, a committed relationship within probably 2 weeks of when we met.
That's some commitment.
Yes. He asked me for the money to get his car fixed, and then he also asked me to...
Well, what did he say to you?
He said that he was not able to get back and forth to work, that he needed to get a head gasket set put on his car, and I loaned him the money.
Go ahead.
First of all, Yana, she was never my girlfriend. Everything that she gave me...
Don't start with everything. Let's start with car repair.
Yes, ma'am. The car repair, she gave it to me.
Well, tell me how she knew that your car needed repair.
I told her my car, my car
Well,
broke
tell me
down.
how did you tell her? Did you call her? Did you write her? Did you text her? Did you tell her when you were having lunch? How did you tell her that your car needed repair, Mr. Mobley?
On the telephone, Yana.
So you picked up the phone and you told her?
We was talking on the phone, and...
And you said?
I told her that my car was broke, and I needed help to get my car fixed.
My car was?
My car needed to be fixed.
And you needed?
A head gasket.
You needed?
Help. My bad, John.
Now, at this time, according to you, she wasn't your girlfriend.
No.
And she was never your girlfriend.
No.
Well, then why would you ask her for money?
Because she said she'd help me.
No. Listen, I am older than Methuselah. However, I do have an intact memory of my dating time, when I was a younger person. And I don't remember ever saying to anybody, I'm going to help you out financially, unless they told me that they needed being helped financially. So my question to you is, why would you, Mr. Mobley, tell somebody that you weren't involved in a relationship with, that you needed help? Could they give you money?
She offered, Yana.
There's something wrong with you.
Yana, she offered to help me, Yana. And when I told her my car was
Just a second. Why would you tell someone that you weren't in a relationship, committed relationship with? Why would you have a conversation? My car's not right. I don't have money to fix it. I needed to go to work. Why would you burden somebody that you weren't in a relationship with all that baloney?
Because I knew that she'd help me.
Ah, there you go. Because you knew. Just a second. I don't think you're adorable, by the way.
I think you are, though, Yana.
Though that's very good. You're right, I am. I don't think you are.
Okay.
So you told her, now we got it right. Now you told her you're tailable because you knew she would help you. That's being dishonest. And you knew she would help you because she liked you and because she thought you were in a relationship.
She loved me.
She loved you.
Yeah.
So then you were being doubly dishonest. You were playing on her emotions, even though you knew you weren't in a committed relationship. Who are you?
I'm his friend, Your Honor. It was roommate.
Why didn't he ask you for money?
Because I'm in the same boat as he is, Your Honor.
Sit.
Do you understand where I'm going, Mr. Mobley?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to think if that is just a big empty suit that you're wearing. And so far, it's coming up empty. So far, it's coming up empty, Mr. Mobley. It's showing me a lot of bad character. So far, you needed money for your car under false pretenses because you asked somebody who cared for you, and you played on that to extract money from her. You're going to pay for your own car. And the car was $200. Now, did you use the same ploy when you needed money for your LA Fitness membership?
She took it upon herself, Your Honor, and called LA Fitness.
Did she?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see how that came about, Mr. Mobley. You work at LA Fitness. You train people there. That's what I gather from here.
I work out at LA Fitness.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a professional fighter.
So you're a professional fighter and you work out at LA Fitness?
I work out at LA Fitness, yes. That's to lift weights. I work for a company called XFC. It's a Extreme Fighting Championship. We do cage fighting, like UFC.
Great. But you work out at LA Fitness?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what would cause Miss Pennington to call LA Fitness? Look at me. What would cause her, as opposed to calling De Beers for diamonds, or Harry Winston for a necklace, or Kmart for toilet paper, what would cause her to call LA Fitness?
First of all, I don't shop at Kmart.
And just a second. I don't. You understand? So you're not auditioning here, Mr. Mobley.
I know, Your Honor.
This is my program.
Okay.
So there's only one star here. Him.
All right.
Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. What would cause her to call LA Fitness?
We talked. We had a conversation.
And Mr. Mobley.
We had a conversation, Your Honor,
about.
But I did not ask her to pay it.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said you had a conversation with her, and in the conversation you said
my LA Fitness membership has expired.
And
that was it. I didn't ask her to pay it, Your Honor. So it wasn't like
right?
I asked her.
Go ahead.
I actually have 90 pages of text messages stating exactly what happened during the car episode, exactly what happened during LA Fitness.
90
I have soft copy and I still have a hard
car
copy.
is a done deal. Car was $200.
Right.
LA Fitness is what I want to see. Just the emails from him about LA Fitness.
Yes, they're all in here as well.
Just take them out. I'm not going to read 90 pages.
No, I know.
Yeah. Oh, fortunately, we got from 90 pages, we got to one. This is incomprehensible. They're going to put something like this in a time capsule and bring it out 200 years from now and say that this was a generation of people who were total illiterates because of this texting business. The text speak. It's illiterate.
Oh, yeah.
Do I get to see that, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Because I don't recall saying anything. So.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're not going to con me, sir. You may be a really good bouncer at a club, and you may be really good with the ladies, but I guarantee you I could wrap you around here. The only thing is I have 8 other cases to do today, and you're beginning to bore me.
And later today.
And in addition to drawing a salary from the business, you also paid for your tan.
No, ma'am.
Believe me, I'm looking at her. She didn't go for a tan. That would be you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Margaret Pennington says ex-boyfriend Ombe Mobley owes for several unpaid loans. Ombe claims Margaret offered to help him out.
Would you please show this to Mr. Mobley?
Sure.
Thank you. But, Your Honor, anybody can send text messages.
Just a minute. I'm not asking you anybody. You asked to look at it. I'm showing it to you.
I don't remember sending this text message.
You don't remember it?
No,
I want you to read those through and tell me if any of the facts in those ring a familiar bell to you.
No.
Nothing?
No.
Well, then let me ask you more specifically, Mr. Mobley. I'll take it back. Who wrote, Miss Pennington, what time do you have to be in St. Cloud?
I did.
I don't know nobody in St. Cloud.
It was a fighting match he had to go to that day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I did have a fine.
Now, tell me about the probationary fines you paid for and when.
I paid for them on 7/16 of this year and 7/22 of this year.
How much?
$236.90, $751.90, and $236.90.
What were your probationary fines for, Mr. Mobley? Is not an answer, sir. What did you get into trouble for?
I got federally indicted by the feds for cocaine.
When?
5 years ago.
Did you serve any jail time?
Yes, a little bit, Your Honor.
How much?
Your Honor, that's behind me. I'd rather not talk about that.
I don't care what you want to talk about, then you pay the money.
No.
They're your fines. And if we're going to find out what they are, then we'll find out what they are.
The fines is for, it was court fees.
So are you prepared to pay them?
No.
Very good. Then we'll get back to what were you convicted of, sir?
I was convicted of possession of cocaine when attempted distribution.
And how much time did you serve?
I served a month, Your Honor.
And how much probation?
Probation was 5 years.
She paid several sets of fines. Were they all involving the same charge?
Yes.
All?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you pay the fines?
She offered to pay the fines.
Why didn't you pay the fines?
Because I couldn't pay him at that time, Your Honor.
Why not? You bought that nice suit. Not at that time, at any time.
I was in a bind.
What do you mean you were in a bind? You're a big, strong guy. Go and wait tables. Go and work in a club. Go and work in McDonald's. Do something. You have probation fines. You pay them. Why should she pay your probation fines? She didn't sell cocaine.
No, she didn't, but Your Honor, this was 5 years ago.
She didn't sell cocaine 5 years ago or 10 years ago or yesterday. You did.
Yes.
They're your fines.
Yes.
So who should pay them?
She offered to pay him.
You're an idiot.
I'm not, Your Honor, I should pay him, but she offered to pay him.
You sold the cocaine. You pay the fines. That's the way the law works. You con somebody else into paying the fines, we should put you back in jail. They should have put you back in jail anyway if you didn't pay the fines.
A second chance, Your Honor. Everybody deserves a second chance.
Well, they gave you a second chance.
And I'm taking advantage of my
second chance, they said you have to pay these fines. That's part of the second chance. We're not going to put you in jail for 5 years. We're going to put you in jail for a month. And we're going to say, take a second chance, but you got to pay these fines. You say, I'm not paying these fines. I'm going to get some broad to pay my fines.
I didn't say that, Your Honor. I didn't say that at all.
Well, then how would she know, Mr. Mobley, since she wasn't your girlfriend and you weren't in an intimate relationship with her?
We was intimate.
No. No, just Mr. Mobley. Mr. Mobley, having a physical relationship with somebody, as you well told me 5 minutes ago, doesn't mean you're in an intimate relationship. You said she wasn't my girlfriend.
But she knew that, Your Honor. She knew.
There's something wrong with you. You think you're going to con me like you've been conning other people now for years? You're not going to con me, sir. You may be really good at fighting mixed martial arts, and you may be really good with the ladies, but I guarantee you, I can wrap you around here. The only thing is I have 8 other cases to do today, and you're beginning to bore me. Let's understand each other.
Yes.
You sold the drugs.
Yes.
You pay the fines. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1575. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If a person offered to pay it, what I'm going to say, no?
No, I don't think he saw me as a dollar sign.
If a person walked up to you right now and say, yo, I'm going to give you $1 million.
I just think that I have a good heart, and I was trying to help him out.
What, you going to say no?
I guess everybody learns from their mistakes. He was my mistake.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of O'Boyle versus Clemens, step forward.
Mary Katie O'Boyle is suing her former business partner, Jeremy Clemens, for taking money from their business account, a tax debt, and accountant fees.
Miss O'Boyle, you and Mr. Clements went into a business venture together, according to your complaint, and that business adventure was a salon business.
Yes.
It didn't work out. Business is no longer viable, but it is your claim that there was a business account from which Mr. Clements paid personal expenses, unbeknownst to you. I'm not exactly sure, after reading Mr. Clemens' answer, what his defense is to that, except that he says, you knew that he was paying personal expenses out of your business account. Okay. Miss O'Boyle, what is it that you allege Mr. Clemens paid out of the business account?
I have them all here, Judge Judy. Target cards, beach bum tanning, Ranchero restaurant, Belk's.
During what period of time?
This was in April, and it was like a 5-day spending spree.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
pay a Comcast bill out of this?
I do not know, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't know, and that's what it says, then I guess you did. Sally Mae. Sally Mae what?
It's a student loan bill.
$336.99. That sound right?
That wasn't what I paid monthly, but
I didn't ask you whether you paid it monthly. Maybe you missed a month.
I might have.
Might have. What about Sunoco, sir?
I did go on a business trip for the salon, which I did use the card for gas.
And how much did you put into the business account from that business trip?
How much did I put into the business account, ma'am?
There's an echo in here, Mr. Clemens. My question is, how much did you put into the business account from that business trip?
Well, I didn't take a paycheck. So basically, it depends on how much I had from that week that I would have made.
I don't think you're cute, actually. I don't think you're cute. I think that you did the wrong thing.
No, ma'am, Your Honor. She knew every...
Don't tell me what she knew. First of all, I'm looking at you and you're lying. First of all, I'm looking at you and, believe me, the hair goes up on the back of my neck when somebody is lying to me. And Mr. Clemens, I'm looking at you, and when you say to me, she knew, you're a liar. The camera will find that in your face so that the 10 million people who watch this at least once a day will see that look that I'm talking about. They're becoming very clued into that look, Mr. Clemens.
I'm not lying,
Very
Your
clued.
Honor.
Oh, yes, you are. You telling me that you told her that you had drawn out a check to pay for your student loan in the amount of $336?
Well, after the 12
you see that
beers
look,
she had
Mr.
had,
Clemens,
she probably doesn't remember.
Mr. Clemens, the camera's getting you, sir. The camera gets liars. If what you're saying in your answer is she was drunk all the time, so she doesn't know what I told her and what I didn't tell her, what I think is you're a hustler and you took advantage of her.
No, ma'am.
I think you're a hustler and you took advantage of her and drew out an awful lot of money that didn't belong to you, that you didn't work for, and that you figured, well, I got this lady. She doesn't know. She's an old lady. What does she know? You know, I'm younger and I'm smarter, and I've been hustling all my life, and this is just another hustle.
No, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Mr. Clemens. See it. I see it. Because nobody who runs a business lets their partner, unless they're also drawing things out, paying personal expenses from the business account. Then some people say, you know what, I'll pay a couple of bills from the business account, you pay a couple of bills from the business account, and it'll be a wash. But that didn't happen in this account, Mr. Clemens. The only one who paid their personal expenses out of it was you.
She wrote herself checks from the account.
You.
She didn't use the card. She wrote herself checks.
What about...
And had her clients pay her.
Just a second, Mr. Clemens. What about you? Did you not draw a salary from the business? Just answer my question. Did you not draw a salary from the business?
A commission-based salary, yes, ma'am.
I don't think you're cute, Mr. Clemens, in case you haven't figured that out yet. Did you draw a salary from the business?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be the answer. And in addition to drawing a salary from the business, as Miss O'Boyle did, you also paid for your tan.
No, ma'am.
Believe me, I'm looking at her. She didn't go for a tan. That would be you. Listen, Miss O'Boyle, he's a hustler. You're not supposed to go into business with hustlers. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,100. That's all. Step out.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
Parties are...
Beverly Zwick says her stamps disappeared from Robert Goldberg's stolen car while they were having an affair, with his wife, Marcy's, approval.
Order. All rise. Judges number 96 on the calendar in the matter of Zwick versus Goldberg. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Who is Miss Zwick?
I am, Your Honor.
Who are you?
I'm her witness.
Would you sit down, please? And you're Mr. Goldberg.
Correct.
Could you sit down, please? Miss Zwick, according to your papers, you became involved with the defendant while he was married, and you both decided that that was a big mistake, according to both your complaint and his answer. But during the course of that relationship or sometime thereafter, you say that you left some stamps in his car, some stamps that you had purchased, and the stamps were subsequently stolen from his car. You want the money for the stamps. Is that what this case is about?
Pretty much, Your Honor, yes.
Well, all right. You're a stamp collector?
Yes, since I was a child.
How did and you purchased these stamps where?
They were purchased at the Beverly Hills Post Office, and they were purchased on June 1st because I needed a special postmark. I'm a stamp collector since I was a kid. I even brought a sample of my stamps so that you could know.
Not interested in your stamp collection.
Okay.
And you went there with him?
Yes, we were dating at the time, seeing each other. And the stamps had to have a June 1st postmark, a special postmark. I went there and purchased stamps. And I had with me other stamps as well because I was going to possibly trade them in, although I didn't really want to. I collect stamps, I collect sheets, and I felt that if I was short of cash, I would turn in these other sheets. You can transfer them. You can trade them in at the post office. And I purchased them, and they were in his car at that evening.
How much did you pay for the stamps that you purchased?
The Marilyn Monroe stamps were $219.34. I have receipts for that.
Okay. So then what happened? So then you bought the stamps and you got into his car. What did you do with the stamps?
The stamps were put in his trunk along with my other stamps, my other collection of stamps.
Why were they put in the trunk?
We were going out that evening, and his stamps and my stamps were put in his trunk.
Who put them in the trunk?
We both did.
No. You walked out of the post office. Who was holding the stamps that you just bought?
If I probably was holding the stamps.
Okay. And then you got to the car.
Yes.
Describe to me exactly what happened.
We got to the car, put the stamps in his car. He had a Mustang, old Mustang. Put them in the trunk. We went out that evening, brought me back to my house, gave me some things that were in the back of the trunk, and then he left, and I realized that he'd not given me back my stamps. Contacted him the next day, and I was told that the car had been stolen that night, sometime between the time he arrived home and that morning when he went out to get the newspaper. And I thought he was kidding. And he said, "Don't worry, I'll hand it into my homeowner's insurance and I'll get the money back for you." And I said, "Fine." So I believed him. During that time, well, within the next 3 months, the relationship started breaking off. We had been seeing each other almost a year prior to this incident, with the full knowledge of his wife. She was very much aware of it. To the effect that she used to make dinners for us at their home.
Go ahead.
So, and she was encouraging us to see each other. I was available, and she wasn't, so this was going on.
Get to the stamps.
The stamps were lost, and I kept waiting for him to give me back my money. When I started breaking off the relationship, he kept telling me that he was going to get me the money, and as I broke it off, he kept playing around with me. He just became, he was a liar, a cheat. I don't know how else to put it. I'm trying to be careful with my language here. He just would not give me back my money. And I finally realized that this man was not truthful, and he was playing games with me, and that he was trying to hold on to me with the money portion of it, and I wasn't going to stick around. And so I decided to bring a lawsuit against him.
Mr. Goldberg, let's hear your end.
Okay. On that particular day, we went there. Okay. I purchased, they were first day folders, sheets of 20 stamps, something what they call a cachet envelope where that's stamped and it's got a picture on it, and some sheets of 20 stamps. Altogether, I purchased approximately $350 worth of stamps. Beverly, at the same time, was there, and she purchased $154.64. I have a copy of her canceled check, which I can give you right now. Okay.
And I'd like to see your statement for that
We'll
same
go by
day.
the one with the check first.
Okay. Let me see what she has.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The reason I came into possession of that check of hers because, okay, after we purchased the stamps and went home, I took
All
her
right,
home.
let me see. Let's go back a second. You purchased the stamps.
Right.
You left the post office. Tell me
Right.
what happened. Shh. Just, I want to see the proof of the stamps, madam, that you purchased that day. Do you understand?
Yes, okay, that's with the green check mark on there.
Okay. Go ahead.
So Beverly was taken home. She
I'm
had
going to go back to the car.
to the car.
You came out of the post office. You got to the car.
Right, we got to the
Think
car.
back. Try to think back.
Okay.
Got to the car. You took out your key.
Okay. I opened the trunk of my car, okay, put my purchase in it. Beverly put her envelope with her purchase right beside it.
Okay.
Okay. We left. She was taken home, got to her house, opened the trunk up. She took her purchase out of it, the same envelope, which was hers, she took with her. Okay.
So you say she took the stamps with her?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. June 2nd, okay, which was the very next day, okay. By some unknown reason, my car was stolen out of my driveway.
Known only to the thief.
Right. I have the police report if you need that.
There's
and all
no
that
question
stuff. Otherwise,
that-
just take my. It's a 1984 Mustang convertible. In the trunk of the car was the stamps. In the car were other things that belonged to me and stuff like that. I did not have theft coverage on the car. Okay. So I put in a claim. Was hoping they'd find the car and somebody wouldn't open the trunk, whatever. That same day, I talked to Beverly, and I told her my whole stamp purchase was stolen, what was in the car. And she said, you know, I think I'm missing some of mine, too. I said, Beverly, you took your whole thing from the car.
He's lying.
She says,
Just a shh.
I'm
Miss
saying
Wick.
he's a liar.
Miss Wick.
Of the first degree.
Miss Wick. Listen, for somebody who's carrying on, according to you, just listen to me. Listen to me. Carrying on with a married man, you know, he may be a liar, according to you.
I made a mistake.
Well, so he made a mistake too.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Beverly Zwick wanted to get in bed with me. She wanted to have a threesome. You didn't
what we're trying to say is she wanted a homosexual relationship with my wife.
Beverly Zwick says her stamps disappeared from Robert Goldberg's stolen car while they were having an affair, with his wife Marcy's approval.
Based upon what you told me, he's not responsible for your stamps. Listen, why? In order for him to be responsible for your stamps, he had to have taken control of your property.
He did.
With the... No, he didn't take control of your property. You put your property in the trunk of his car. And based upon what you told me no more than 6 minutes ago, even if he had accepted partial responsibility by letting you put them in the trunk of his car for the brief ride until you got home, you then told me 6 minutes ago that you opened the trunk and you took out some of your property.
I didn't, John.
No,
He did.
No, it's
He
not what
took
you...
it out.
Listen to me. Opened some of your property, and some of your property you took back. You left your property in the car. He did not retain your property, Miss Zwick.
He didn't give me back my stuff.
Listen, you never hear the buck stops here. It's your stuff. You're supposed to keep control over it. You are supposed to keep control over it. If you forgot it, stop blaming everybody else.
No, but the reason this is coming about is the fact that I've got a tape here claiming that he professes his love. The matter of fact...
What does that have to do with a stamp?
Because of the reason that I will not sleep with him and wanted no part of him at all, wanted no relationship. His wife got very upset because I wouldn't see him.
Miss Wick.
I have a witness to that effect.
That is
They
that's
decided they weren't
why
going to pay me back the money for my stamp.
No, Miss Wick.
He said he was handing it to the
Hey,
insurance
Miss Wick,
company.
listen, I'm having a great deal of difficulty with you. If you can't understand what I'm going to say this last time, I'm not going to even try to explain it to you again. I'm telling you what the law is. Stop telling me about your sleeping arrangements. I'm disinterested in your sleeping arrangements. Listen to me.
That's why he's doing this.
That's lost your stamps. You forgot them in his car.
He didn't give them back to me.
No, you forgot them in his car. Not that he didn't give them back to you. He didn't keep your stamps. He
handed me the things that were in the back of the trunk.
Dismiss.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She tried her hardest to take him away from me, but it just didn't work because the true her came out.
He seduced her because he was
seduced
bored.
me. He's a face.
I mean, you know, he's bored, so he
And
has
his
to go
wife
around
is upset
seducing
because
me.
I wouldn't have an affair with him.
I want all you people at home to decide whether you think I would be bored with this person, the blonde
Obviously,
hair,
Bob, you were
or
bored.
the gray
You
haired
were
lady
bored,
over
or you-
here. One
and
of
you
those
can't-
a mental disability.
You can't
Okay. So,
Neither can you, honey.
I don't have to get
You don't.
You
Right.
don't.
That's right.
she's 52. She's what
51.
you consider an old maid because she's never been married, can't sustain a relationship.
Look pretty good for
Okay?
51.
No, you don't.
Oh, I do.
You know, Bob,
The
that's
gray hair is
sad.
becoming.
You are
I don't know what the whole
I didn't
bottom
want to be
line
with
of
him.
this. Beverly Zwick wanted to get in bed with me. She
With
wanted to
you.
have a
I thought
threesome.
so.
That is why.
You didn't
All
have to
right,
say
that's
that.
why.
Why
All
not?
our trips we went on she wanted to go with us.
What we're trying to say is she wanted a homosexual relationship with my wife. Okay, now the secrets come out.
She wanted to enter a relationship with me.
Parties on Arrigo versus Rose. All parties on Arrigo versus Rose. Step forward, please.
Michael Arrigo says after 6 years of marriage to Derek Rose, he still hasn't gotten his share of the community property, and he wants it bad.
Order, all rise.
Judge, this is number 54 on the calendar in the matter of Arrigo versus Rose. All parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. Be seated.
Mr. Arrigo and Mr. Rose, according to your papers, you two gentlemen lived as domestic partners for about 6 years.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Mr. Rose, I believe it was in your answer that you said that you actually had a marriage ceremony. Is that right?
We had a party before the marriage and went down to City Hall where it was witnessed. We didn't have an actual ceremony.
So you lived with each other as what you construed as a married couple. Is that correct?
Yes,
correct.
sir.
And then there came a point recently when you had a very acrimonious parting of the ways.
That's right.
And you left the house.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are suing Mr. Rose for property that you say that you purchased.
Yes, Your Honor. I have all documents to support that as well.
And Mr. Rose's position is that since you live together as domestic partners, he's more than happy to sit down and divide the property with you 50%. Is that right, sir?
That is correct.
And because that's what happens when a marriage breaks up.
But, Your Honor, excuse me, in a marriage, usually most parties work together. In this situation, he hasn't worked for many, many years, in about 4 or 5 out of our 7 years, nor contributed to rent, to anything of the sort. I have an itemized list right here, Your Honor, of everything that is he refuses to give me, just literally refuses to give me, for my personal belongings, such as a medal that my grandfather had given me, to my stereo, to
Let me
my
have
cats.
the items, please.
That is incorrect.
Listen to me, Mr. Arrigo.
Arrigo, ma'am.
Arrigo. Very often, sir, you are mistaken in one respect. Marriage is usually not an equal partnership financially. Somebody usually earns more. Sometimes one person doesn't work at all. One person stays home.
If that is the agreement.
Whether that's the agreement or not, sometimes that's what happens.
Your Honor.
So what was... Go ahead, sir.
First of all, Mr. Arrigo didn't just leave the house. He was restrained after being convicted for spousal abuse. He's a convicted batterer.
Who was the spouse? You?
Yes.
So he assaulted you?
Yes. We assaulted each other throughout the years of our... I was never charged. Years of miscommunication, loss of communication, and me simply asking him to get a job. He refused to get a job. I was pawning things, items, not for our own food, but for our innocent little cats. And Mr. Rose would not even dare get up and do a darn thing about getting a job.
Okay, listen to me. You folks entered into what you considered a marriage. It was a marriage that didn't work out. In this state, anything that you acquire during the course of a marriage, it's community property, it's split in half. Just listen to me. And there's been a lot of talk, a lot of press coverage, court proceedings these days, that the gay community feels as if the country should recognize same-sex marriages. And I assume that that's what you two people believe in, because you went down to City Hall. Is that right?
That's correct. And
well, you can't. Listen to me. Mr. Arrigo, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I want to be considered a marriage partner with somebody as long as we're together. But if we separate, oh, it's a whole different story. Then it's just his things and my things. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Your Honor.
Just a minute. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him. Do you understand what I'm saying to you,
yes,
sir?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. And when I realized that he was not going to do anything to better himself or our relationship, I had the certificate of domestic partnership completely annulled.
Fine.
Soon afterwards.
How much afterwards, sir?
Within a matter of days, when he made a nasty phone call to my mother back in Ohio.
And how long did you stay together after that?
We broke up a couple of times in the 7-year duration of our relationship. I tried plenty of times to communicate to him
Just
that
a
we
second.
made better friends.
But you still lived together.
He had nowhere to go at all.
Your
Oh,
Honor,
well,
this is
this is not what you say.
This is
not what you say in your papers, Mr. Arrigo.
Your Honor.
Hey, don't try to outtalk me. You'll
sorry.
always lose. That's not what you say in your papers, sir. And it's not what I believe that necessarily happened. You lived together for a very long time, and you squabbled over what most married couples squabble over, money.
For example, I went through a lot of turmoil just the other day to get my own clothing. I've been wearing the same clothing, and he played a lot of nasty games just to get my suit.
I'm not talking about your clothing. I'm going to take care of your personal effects.
I asked him about my desk, for example. A lot of the articles that I am suing him for, he has pawned for his own habits.
Listen to me. You're not following what I'm saying to you, sir. What I'm saying to you is, if you and the defendant live together in a monogamous marriage
It was
for
not that
6
way.
years.
At the end, I found out it was not monogamous. Ma'am.
Well, that sometimes happens too
Yes, it
between
does.
marriages of opposite sexes. You broke up. Whatever you have and whatever you acquire during that period, if you want the state to recognize same-sex marriages, which I assume you do, then you have to take the downside of that too, which is when you split up, if you paid more, that's too bad. He gets half of it. So next time you figure out whether you just want to live with somebody or whether you want to live in a relationship that is recognized, at least in your own heads, as a marriage, whether it's recognized by the state or not. He has personal items in your house. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
What personal items does he have in your house?
He has his pictures, his collections.
Collections of
everything
what?
that is his that I know to be his exclusively, I have put in our office. I dismantled our office and I used that as a storage room for all his things.
Like what else?
See his album collection.
Stereo.
The stereo I didn't put in there. I'm still listening to that.
Okay, just listen to me, Mr. Rose. Mr. Rose, I'm not just talking about his pictures. I'm not talking about his pictures or his clothes, sir. Shh. I'm not talking about his pictures or his clothes. There are a lot of things that clearly you acquired during the course of the time that you lived together. Big things. Console television, VCR, speakers, stereo system, silverware, typewriter, microwave, bedroom TV, the hi-fi VCR, bed maker, all of those things. Now, which of those things did you put away for him? Is not an answer.
The fact is...
Fact is what?
The items outside of the TV, the console TV, and the stereo, we jointly share. I also paid for them.
Sure, you each paid for them, so if you're going to divide them properly, which you say you're more than willing to sit down with him and do that. Listen to me.
Didn't get a chance to do that, Your Honor.
Oh, so you want to do that now?
I would more than...
Perfect!
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Toaster, that came with you. That's what you brought, sir.
No,
that's some
not.
dowry.
That's
Just a second. Mr. Arrigo, that's a joke, sir. So far, it was all he brought into this marriage. His dowry was a toaster. That's not a lot of dowry.
Michael Arrigo says after 6 years of marriage to Derek Rose, he still hasn't gotten his share of the community property, and he wants it bad.
Bert, we're going to take 2 minutes. This is what I want you to do. I want you to help me out here. This is the list of electronic appliances. This is plate, shop, and furniture. These two lists, all right? I want you to stand in between these two gentlemen and let them go through it and see if they can make a determination right now, as to who gets what. Get your pen, get your pencils out. Anything that you purchased before you began your relationship with him is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Not joint property.
Thank you.
Officer Byrd,
Yes,
assume
Judge.
your position.
We'll
We'll take a couple of seconds here. Officer Byrd, would you read off to the partners, please, which item you're addressing, and let's see if they can come up with a division of it. Do you understand? You can look over his shoulder, sir.
Okay.
Just walk over there. Don't smile at me. Just walk over there.
RCA console TV.
Purchased before we met.
Is that correct, sir?
I do have the receipts.
Okay, good. That belongs to the plaintiff.
VCR.
I was purchased before we met.
That's correct.
Sharp speakers.
Purchased before we met.
That's correct.
Receipts right here.
Kenwood stereo system.
Purchased before we met.
That is correct.
Answering machine.
Purchased before we met.
That is incorrect.
Where's the answering
Just a
machine
second.
then?
The answering
Don't
machine.
fight with each other.
Okay.
You have a
Answering
receipt for
machine-
just a second. Hey! I'm going to throw you both out of here. You're not going to be happy. Listen to me. Listen to me, sir. Do you have proof in that envelope that you purchased the answering machine before you met?
Yes.
Give the bills to him. He'll help you find it because you have a sight problem. Is that right, Mr. Arrigo?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead. Go through the next item. We're talking answering machine. Go ahead.
Typewriter.
Purchased before we met. Circuit City.
Correct. Go ahead.
Entertainment center. Again.
Plaintiff.
Plaintiff.
Toaster.
Defendant.
Toaster. That came with you. That's what you brought, sir.
No,
that's some
not.
dowry.
That's joint. I
Just a
bought
second.
that's joint.
Mr. Arrigo, that's a joke, sir. If all so far was all he brought into this marriage, his dowry was a toaster. That's not a lot of dowry. Go ahead. Go. Go. I'm getting tired here. I'm getting very warm. What?
Joint.
What?
Toaster.
No, he says it's his dowry. Defendant.
Oh, Your Honor.
Blender.
Blend.
Joint.
Cocktail table.
I have a receipt for that, Your Honor. I
Joint.
just purchased that.
Joint.
I have
Just
a receipt right here.
Mr. Arrigo,
Yes, Your Honor.
is it in the house?
Yes, it is.
Was it there when you left?
I did see the cocktail tables, yes.
What do you mean you did see the cocktail tables? You didn't deliver them to me after you were thrown out of the house, right? No, of course not. Joint.
Your Honor, that's something I'm still making payments on myself.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
the plaintiff is, the defendant
Go
is
ahead.
not helping.
Living room lamp.
I bought that.
Just a second. When?
I bought that quite a few months ago to go with our new sofa set that I bought.
Just a second. Joint. You don't seem to get the drill, Mr. Arrigo.
Sofa set.
Joint.
The joint? What did you pay into it, Derek? Here's my receipt.
Mr. Arrigo, when did you buy it, sir?
Less than a year ago.
Joint.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Most of the electronic appliances were purchased on my credit cards, which I am now in debt for and contemplating filing a bankruptcy.
Michael Arrigo says after 6 years of marriage to Derek Rose, he still hasn't gotten his share of the community property, and he wants it bad.
Now, Mr. Arrigo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, my next question to you, sir, is, of the items on this list, how many of the items are you still paying off? Do you still have debts for?
The cocktail table.
How much?
I have a balance here from Robinson's May department store. With approximately over $1,000.
Well,
The
Bird?
bread slicer. Where's the Robinson's? We show.
Hate these cases. I don't care whether they're same-sex marriages or different-sex marriages. They're all the same kind of problems. Ends up being an accountant.
It's that one. So, there you go.
Sir, can you tell me why you're giving me this bill for furniture?
Most of the electronic appliances were purchased on my credit cards, which I am now in debt for and contemplating filing a bankruptcy.
You shouldn't ever put so much money, sir, on your credit card.
A lot of it was Derek Rose's doing. He gladly would use my credit cards.
Are you employed now, sir?
Me, yes, I am, ma'am.
What is the last total on your credit card?
The last total is approximately slightly under $2,000.
Where is it? What's slightly under $2,000?
My Robinson's May credit card, as well as the now Macy's department store.
Do you have that with you?
Yes, Macy's and Robinson's May.
Your Honor, Robinson's May is a joint account.
Just a second.
Your Honor.
Just a second. Are you working now, sir? Are you working? Working,
No,
the W.
No, I am not, Your Honor.
So if you're not working, how do you expect to pay this if it's a joint debt? How do you expect to pay it?
Through Social Security, Your Honor.
Social Security doesn't pay credit cards, sir. Social Security doesn't pay credit. How much do you get from Social Security?
I haven't gotten anything yet.
Your Honor, he would hold that over my head.
Just a sec. Hey. Mr. Arrigo.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
You know what a nudnik is? All right. Now. Okay. Let's go.
And I've made
Yeah, you're just about right. Okay. About $2,000. I want you to listen to me very carefully, Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
The following items are to be ready for Mr. Arrigo to pick up tomorrow at 5 o'clock. You can either be at the home or you can make arrangements for someone else to be at the home. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
The RCA console television, VCR console, plaintiff, Sharp speakers, Kenwood stereo system, typewriter, CD player, antique desk, dinette set, entertainment center. Those things are all to be ready to be picked up by him. That is his personal property that he brought into your relationship, which is not the subject of any sort of community property. Do you understand that?
I understand and agree with you, Your Honor.
Well, so far, we're fine. Now, those things you will make arrangements to pick up, sir, and they are to be, I assume, in the same condition as when he left them.
Of course.
But, good.
Judge Judy returns in a moment.
Now, the following items are silverware, coffee maker, washer dryer, meat slicer, bedroom set, stereo, bread maker, another bedroom set, blender, cocktail table, living room, and sofa set. Those are things that were purchased jointly. Now, he has outstanding bills for many of those things in the amount of $3,072. You paid for some of them.
I paid for all of them.
I mean, but you paid some parts of it. But some of these things are relatively small items.
Right.
Now, I am not going to go through all of these things and figure out exactly how much each one costs, how old it is, how much it's depreciated, or everything else. But I think that you should be clean, as clean as you can be, so at least you can start over. Now, you're getting back all of the things you brought into the relationship. And I am awarding you, in addition to all of the things you're going to get back, which is most of the things on this list, an additional $3,072, which will cover all of your outstanding credit card bills. And the rest of the stuff will stay with him. Do you understand?
Even my clothes, Your Honor?
No, all your clothes are going to be turned over to you. If he has any of your clothes, all the clothes are to be ready to be turned over.
Clothes and shoes and albums
All
and
of your
CDs?
personal, listen to me, all your personal effects.
Thank you, Your
clothes,
Honor.
shoes, albums, etc., and all of the items that have been marked plaintiff on this list. And in addition, I've cash valued the property at the amount that you still owe the credit card company, which is $3,072 together. That's the judgment of the court. Thank you very much. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy. Judy.
Parties on Sang versus Ponder. Step forward, please.
Susie Sang says she and Martha Ponder took turns paying for brunch after they met in a class. When their friendship broke, Susie says Martha still owed her one.
Order. All rise.
Judge, number 73 on the calendar in the matter of Sang versus Ponder.
Thank you, Bert.
Quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Sang, this case is about more than a $70 tab for a brunch that you claim that the defendant owes you. And I'm going to try to figure out, for your sake, what it's all about. Your complaint says that you met the defendant at some sort of a conference, became friends, went out for lunch occasionally. One day you would pick up the check, one day she would pick up the check. And then you invited her and her husband for brunch. Is that right?
Yes.
And you picked up the check.
Yes.
And then she didn't reciprocate.
Yes.
So you feel as if she owes you the $70 for the brunch. Is that right?
Yes.
Why don't you take it from the top and tell me how you met, why you think she owes you the $70, and then try to look inside here and figure out why you're really in court.
Yes. Yeah, I met Martha at work, and she taught a class that I needed it for my engineering position. And since then, we became friends, so we started to go out for lunch. We went several occasions before we brought our family together. And then that time we decided I would like to meet her husband, and she would like to meet my son. And so the advance agreement was that, just like we did on our lunches, I pay first, and then she paid. And then I pay and she paid, exchanges many different times. And so the brunch arrangement also in this kind of set up. So after this brunch happened in May of 26 of 96. And subsequently, after that lunch, we were still friends. We still went out for a few times for lunches. But then she knew she owed me the brunch. She had attempted to make the subsequent brunches to repay me for the previous brunch. But then she canceled for some reason twice already. And then the last time I had a conversation with her was September. She didn't come up with a new date. Then when I tried to call her again in October, and then she decided to tell me she's no longer my friend. She doesn't want to talk to me anymore, and she doesn't want to go out lunch with me anymore, and she doesn't want to go out with me for brunches either. So I told her, I said, you know, I don't have enough money to pay you for free brunches. She knew that. She owed me for the brunch. I was very, very hurt.
You were hurt in October, not because of the brunch, but you were hurt because she said that she didn't want to be your friend anymore.
Right. I had no reason why she dropped me. She didn't tell me why. I needed her as a friend the most. That's where she abandoned me and didn't tell me and didn't want to give me back the brunches that we were supposed to be in a friendship gesture to exchange that. And so I not only lost a friend, moral principle-wise, I don't think she is worth a friend. And she owed me the money, and she thought she could get away from it. And I asked her what happened to the brunch. And she said, take me to court. And that's why I'm here.
Order.
All right, Ms. Ponder. Let me hear what happened. Why did you terminate your friendship with her in October?
Well, I don't really feel like we had a friendship. Susie approached me at the class. She needed someone to talk to. She clearly had a problem with her employment, and she was looking for someone that had some seniority in the company and some respect, contacts. She wanted help finding a different job. She wanted advice about whether she should sue the company or...
Why would she want to sue the company?
She felt that she was being wronged by her supervisors.
Is that right?
Yes. Also, Martha also shared with me with her husband's problem. So I listened to her problem, she listened to mine.
Go ahead.
The week of the class, she stayed the second night after class, and we talked for several hours. And I felt really sorry for her. I felt like she needed a mentor as far as work was concerned. And she wanted us to have dinner. I agreed to dinner. She picked the place and she paid for it. We had a lunch after that, and I honestly don't remember who paid. It was my birthday. She gave me a gift. This was 3 weeks after we had met. And then on the 26th of May, we went to the brunch. Now, subsequent to the brunch, we did have lunch again and we had dinner.
And you had exchanged, some days you paid and some days she paid?
Yeah.
What happened with this brunch? You made the arrangements for the brunch.
We made the arrangements for the brunch. My husband and I, it was about a 60-mile drive from our home. Susie had picked the hotel, and we got there. We had our meal and a very nice visit with her son. And when it was time to pay, I said that I didn't have any cash, that we'd have to pay on a credit card. And I said, I'd be happy to pick up the check. She said, no, no. And I said, well, then let's just split it. because I knew she was going to pay with cash. She said, no, I want to get it. And I said, fine. And we thanked her for the meal.
No. No. She knew that I had already arranged to prepare the cash to pay for that brunch. She understood.
No, don't tell me what she knew and what she understood. That calls for you going into what's in her mind. Tell me what the conversation was. She said she offered to pay for half, did she?
No, she did not offer to pay for half. If I would have known that time that she said that this is it, this is the brunches that I would accept, but it was not. She never offered that.
Judge Judy will be right back.
Martha has a lot of personal problems that I have to absorb.
I felt like I was being a friend to her, but she was not a friend to me.
Susie Sang says she and Martha Ponder took turns paying for brunch after they met in a class. When their friendship broke, Susie says Martha still owed her one.
What prompted you to terminate this relationship that you had, if you did in fact terminate it?
I felt like Susie insisted that we were friends, and I felt like I was being a friend to her, but she was not a friend to me. I felt like it was a give relationship on my part. I was extremely busy with work. I had a lot of crises this summer. I had a mother-in-law that needed to be put into a rest home in Florida. A lot of demands on me. A stepdaughter that was driving us slightly crazy. And I felt like that was just more than I needed to deal with.
Is this your husband?
Yes.
It's your daughter that's driving her a little crazy? I saw the look on your face.
Can I say something?
How old is this daughter?
She'll be 21 in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
Martha has a lot of personal problems that I have to absorb. I devoted a lot of my energy, my time listening to her. As you can see, she voluntarily told you. She had a daughter-in-law problem, she had a mother-in-law problem, she had her husband problem, she couldn't get along with her husband, and he lost a job, she told me, and so she cried on my shoulder all of her problems.
What I'm gathering from Ms. Ponder is that she found your problems because of the problems that she was having in her own life too much for her to deal with. So she decided to cool it off. Is that right?
That's correct.
The arrangement that you had with her, Miss Sang, was a loose arrangement. Not different from so many other people that go out together that choose not to split a bill. They say one time, I'll pick up the check, and maybe next time you'll pick up the check, but there is no formal arrangement of who's going to pay at what time. You didn't have a contractual relationship with her for this brunch that you went to in May. You picked the restaurant, you made the arrangements. She went with her husband. It seems to me that you were trying to get some information from her, which is why you originally approached her. According to your own statement, Ms. Sang, you originally approached her because she was teaching a class and you wanted some information. That's what you say in your own statement. So she wasn't looking for a friend, you were looking for a friend.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
What you're here for is some vindication of what you perceive as some moral wrong that was done by the defendant. And I don't think that she did anything morally wrong to you. She just found that the pressures of her own family and her own work and her extended family was sufficient that she couldn't take any other pressures in her life. That's unfortunate, but that sometimes happens, Ms. Sang. Ms. Sang, listen to me. It wasn't worth your time. It wasn't worth the defendant's time. It wasn't worth the energy that you expended to come to court to file a case for $70 over a friendship that just unfortunately didn't work out. This case is dismissed. That's all.
She cheated.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Miller versus Buck. Step forward, please.
Limo driver Dennis Miller didn't get paid for taking Ginger Buck for a ride. Ginger says Dennis ruined her birthday party because she had to tell him where to go.
Judges number 27 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Buck. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Miller, you're a limousine driver.
Yes.
You drove Miss Buck and some of her friends to a location. You brought her home. She gave you a check for $240 for your services. She stopped payment on the check. That's what you're suing for, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
But I've read your answer, Miss Buck, and I think I'm going to start with you because I would like to know how you made these arrangements. You're going to tell me why you made these arrangements for a limousine. Do you usually travel by limousine?
No, ma'am.
So tell me about
it. No, Your Honor.
So tell me about it.
I was celebrating my 50th birthday on December 9th, 1995, and I decided to surprise my guests with a chauffeured limo pickup and also a surprise luncheon destination. So I called and I arranged a 4-hour minimum at $50 an hour plus a 20% gratuity of $40, bringing the total amount to $240. The day before, on Friday, December the 8th of 95, I contacted Mr. again to confirm everything and to go over the directions, the destination, and the fact that it was indeed a surprise destination for my guest. On Saturday, December the 9th, Mr. Miller showed up in his 91 Lincoln Town car to pick up my group.
How many people were you?
A party of 8 total.
Where did they all sit in a town car?
It's a stretch limo.
Okay.
And, excuse me.
How did you know it was a 91?
Because I found out in discussions further after the fact that he told me it was a 91.
Okay.
And we all got in the car, and my group was very excited because they were immensely surprised by the chauffeured limo pickup. And when we were headed down the road, Mr. Miller leaned over his right shoulder and said, "Where are we going?" And I said, "You don't know where we're going?" And he said, "No, I don't." And I said, "Well, it's supposed to be a surprise. It's a surprise destination." And he says, "Well, I don't know where we're going. I'm sorry." And I said, "Okay, it's the Bel Air Hotel." Then I turned to my group and I said, "I'm sorry. This was supposed to have been a surprise, and it's been ruined because the driver doesn't know where we're going." And then I said, "Do you know how to get there?" And he said, "No, I don't." And I thought, I got very upset. And I said, "Okay, you go north on the 405," and I gave him the directions. And then I had to sit there and play navigator, so I could not enjoy being with my party and my friends because I had to watch him to make sure he didn't miss the Sunset Boulevard turnoff. And then he didn't know how to get to Stone Canyon, so I just had to guide the whole ordeal. I was just furious. I was so angry because this was supposed to have been a surprise destination, and I had to spoil it in front of my group. And I told Mr. Miller, it was evident I was upset.
No, why did you give him anything if you were dissatisfied?
I didn't want to create a scene in front of my group that was standing nearby, and I didn't want to get into it and create a scene. I was already upset anyway and about the whole limo ordeal, and I didn't want to create a scene in front of my guests.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. But I did. Is it okay to go ahead and talk about it? Okay, I did call the following week on Monday, the 11th of 95, and he said he'd call me back, and he didn't. I wrote Mr. Miller a letter and sent it certified return receipt.
Well, a lot of time is going past at this point, but before all of this happened, you stopped payment on the check.
Yes.
Well, on what date did you stop payment on the check?
On, I believe it was December 13th. Yes, December 13th.
And why did you stop payment on the check?
Because because Mr. had promised me one thing, and what I got was a whole different story.
And when you called him on the 11th, he didn't call you back?
No.
So nothing had happened between the 11th and the 13th other than the fact that Mr. did not call you back?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, on December 9th, I was given this farm-out job.
Were you told that this was a surprise destination?
All I know, it was a birthday. I wasn't told it was a surprise.
Were you told where you were taking the people?
He said the Bel Air Hotel, and it wasn't really clear, but I figured out that it had to be over in Bel Air, which would be...
That sounds right.
Right. Often, and you'd have to go 405 to Sunset to get there. I knew that. But I didn't know exactly where to go, where the Canyon Road was. We'd turn off right there.
Well, isn't it your responsibility, sir, as the limousine driver, to map a route to the destination where you're supposed to be going?
Yes, that's true, but it was sort of last minute.
No, it wasn't last minute. You had a day, didn't you?
Right.
So,
So I
if you
do
had-
admit that a fault there.
Did Miss Buck say to you that it had spoiled the surprise because she had to divulge where the party was going to be held?
No, she did not.
She never said that to you?
No.
Look, Miss Buck could have taken a minute out of your birthday party and told that the limousine that he contracted for was unsatisfactory, right?
Your Honor, I probably could have done that, but it's hard to catch.
You didn't try.
You're right. I could have done that.
You didn't try. I mean, so what you did was you, even though it wasn't the service you wanted, and you could have told him to leave. I mean, you could have said, I'm so dissatisfied with you, just drop us off at the Bel Air and we will all take taxi cabs home. It'll be cheaper for us to split up in groups of 2 or 3 and we can all take cabs home for what this is costing me, and I'll take this matter up with on the phone when my party is over. But you used his service. Now, I believe that you didn't get what you contracted for.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Clearly, I believe you that you told the person that you contracted with that this was a surprise party, that the destination was supposed to be secret. You clearly told this gentleman the destination. Mr. Miller, you did not do your job properly. You're supposed to map out a location. You're supposed to be the driver. That's your job. You're not supposed to rely on the people that you're taking. My problem, Ms. Buck, is that you gave him the check and then stopped payment on the check. That's never a good... You can always sue him for the money, but you chose to stop payment on the check. What I'm trying to figure out is something that's fair and equitable. Mr. Miller was filling in, was going to leave you in a lurch if his guy, Joe, who was 32 years old, was supposed to pick you up and wasn't able to do it for whatever reason. So he sent somebody, and he sent Mr. Miller. You used his service to take you home, which suggests to me that it wasn't so terrible. Mr. Miller did provide a service for you. I don't think it was the service, as a matter of fact, that she had requested. What she has described, sir, is inappropriate. But I don't think that she got what she bargained for. I do think, however, that you got some service from Mr. Miller. Now, the cost of his services was $240. So this is one of those cases where I believe he's entitled to something, but not necessarily what he is suing for. So I'm giving him a judgment. Put your hand down, Miss Buck. I'm giving him a judgment in the amount of $120, which is 1/2 of what his bill was. Judgment is for the plaintiff for the amount of $120.
There's also court costs on there, too, to say.
$120. And I suggest, sir, that if you weren't given the proper information from that you sue him. I'm here 5 days a week.
Ex-boyfriend, so she accepted a check from his roommate and bought him new wheels. But the check bounced, and she's burning mad.
Judges, number 47 on the calendar in the matter of Citron versus Richard.
Thank you, Bert.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Citron, you say you went down to visit your ex-boyfriend, who is the defendant's roommate at the time. So far, is that right?
Yeah.
And when you got there, you lent the defendant some money for something, which you'll tell me about. He gave you a check. The check bounced. And the check was for, I don't know, $1,600? Is that right? Is that right? You can't say, you have to answer, right?
$1,640.
But you're not suing him for that. You're only suing him for $391 for the fees that you incurred for the bad check.
Yes.
Okay. Did he ever give you back the $1,600?
No. What happened was it was for rims and tires on a car, and I ended up having to go down and get the rims back because I never got the money back.
Not my car, though.
Okay. So you went and you took the rims and rims and whatever they are. I'm not good at that. Rims and what else did she say?
Wheels and tires. Wheels and rims.
So you took them right off the car, and then you returned them, so you got the money back.
No, I didn't return them. Because I ended up having to pay back the check that he bounced. So I ended up just keeping them on my car because I figured I'm going to pay that much money for them. I might as well have them on my car.
Oh, so you took them off the car, so you still have the $1,600. Did you need new rims and tires on your car?
Yes, I did.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Judge Judy will be right back.
You mean to tell me she just made up that story out of whole cloth and it just happens to be true?
That happened later on.
So she's like watching a crystal ball.
Rebecca Citron trusted an ex-boyfriend, so she accepted a check from his roommate and bought him new wheels. But the check bounced, and she's burning mad.
Now let's start at the beginnings. His roommate was your old boyfriend, but now a friend.
Was a friend until all this happened.
So tell me what happened. Where do you live? Where did they live? What brought you down there? How did this all come about?
I live in Moreno Valley, outside of just east of Riverside. Travis used to live down the street from me. We went to junior high and high school together. Halfway through high school.
This isn't Travis?
No, this is his roommate. After we graduated, he moved in with John, and I went down to visit because they just moved in the apartment. He says, "Oh, you got to come down. You got to see my new apartment." I said, "Okay, I'll go down and I'll see it." And Travis says, "Well, John's going to buy my car, and he wants to put rims and tires on it first because mine are bald." And I said, "Okay." He says, "The problem is John's going to write the check, but he doesn't have any ID for the check to write the check to the place for the rims and tires, Cerritos Wheel." And I said, "Well, if the money's good and you've got the money in the account, I will write the check because I have ID, and you can write me the check and we'll deposit it in my account." We deposited it in my account at Wells Fargo at the branch, and money went through and everything. He got the rims and tires on his car. 3 days later, the bank called me and told me that the check had bounced. I paged them repeatedly because they had no phone in their apartment, over and over and over again. It was Travis's pager. He never called me back. Finally, I went down to the apartment one day, presented them with...
Presented who?
Presented both the guys with these attorney papers from the district attorney of Riverside, telling them I was going to sue them for the full amount. And they said, "Oh, we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it."
Not they. Don't tell me about who's not here, because you're suing him.
Okay.
Because Travis can't be found, so I get the end of the deal. The bad end.
But you wrote the check.
That's better.
You wrote the check.
I'm the middleman, so
Just a second.
It doesn't matter. You wrote the check.
Just a second.
Okay.
So what fees are you actually suing for?
I had 3 checks that I had written because I had $360 in my account. I went and I paid some bills. Those checks of mine bounced because they had to take the money out of the account.
So the expenses that you had were $391.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
For this bounce check. You have those receipts for me?
Yes, I have these.
All right. John, is that your name?
Yes.
How old are you?
18.
What do you do for a living?
I'm working at a surf shop.
A surf shop. Is that your life's goal?
No, I used to work at a bank. It's just kind of a middle job right now.
So how do you support yourself?
The bank statements.
With the money I make there.
How much do you make there?
Approximately $900.
Per.
Well, what happened was Travis, his tires on his car were...
Per.
Well, what happened was Travis, his tires on his car were bald.
Look at me.
I'm looking at you. The tires on his car were bald, so he needed new tires, and they didn't have his size tires or some so he had to get new rims as well.
Cleaning up your language, you're in a courtroom.
Sorry. He needed new rims, so he decided he wanted new rims as well. So I was going to write a check to her so he could get the money, and he was supposed to pay me back.
Hold on a second. You said that very fast. Travis needed tires for his car that had nothing to do with you. Is that what you're saying?
You said you were going to buy the car. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
I'm really good at this.
This was me buying his car was something that happened way after. It was before we even got these tires. He needed new tires.
Listen to me. You were supposed to buy Travis's car.
That hadn't even been discussed at this point, though.
You mean that was something that she just...
No,
just a second. You mean to tell me she just made up that story out of whole cloth and it just happens to be true?
That happened later on.
So she's like watching a crystal ball. Is that right?
Me buying his car happened, me wanting to buy his car happened after we had all this had happened.
So how come she knew about it at the time?
Sorry that... I'm sorry.
Let me do him, please. Huh? How come she knew about it? If it's something that happened afterwards.
She had came down all the time after this had happened.
You mean after she?
Oh yeah, she came and stayed at our house for a couple weeks.
After the checks bounced.
Oh yeah.
Did you go down there after the checks bounced?
Yes, I did, because I was trying to get my money back. When I couldn't get my money back, I lost a job because I had to go down to the district attorney office.
I mean,
file
did you go
papers.
down there and stay for 2 weeks like on
No,
vacation?
I stayed for 4 days because I got in a fight with my parents and I had to leave home.
Oh, this is getting very complicated.
Judge Judy will be right back.
You mean they gave you a bad check and you still stayed at their house for 4 days?
Because they promised they were going to take care of it for me. They were going to pay me back. But
John, how come you gave her a check that bounced?
Because Travis didn't give me money to clear it for him.
You said you had the money in the account, though.
Yeah, but
I have a
Just a
bank
second, you
statement
were
there,
me.
Your Honor.
Once you give a check, John, I mean, you're young, so I will forgive you for the moment. When you give a check to somebody, you're supposed to have the money in the bank at the moment you give them the check. That's the law. Not give them a check and then maybe somebody's going to give it to you a day or two later so it'll go in to cover it. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yeah.
You owe her exactly what she says you owe her. That's minimally what you owe her. But that's what she's suing for, $391, judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy returns in a moment.
Lucky for you, I didn't sue for the $1,500 that you owe me also.
Okay. You got the rims and tires. I got 4 ball tires on my car. That's not fair.
My car's stolen now. It's gone, so I don't even have those rims and tires. You're lucky I didn't take you for the whole 6.
तो आज हम जी लेवल 7 करने वाले लेवल 7 के लेवल का मैं आपको हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल साइको पे चल चलिए फिर स्टार्ट करते हैं। लेट्स गो। तो ये लेवल 7 स्टार्ट हो चुका है। देखते हैं आगे क्या होता है। ये एक बंदा आ रहा है, इधर खड़ा है, इसको मारते हैं। ये गया, नहीं गया, ये उधर है, इसका हेडशॉट मारना। ये भी गया, ये किधर बैठा है। गेम की लुक तो अच्छी है, देखने में तो सही है, खेल कर देखें। कवर फायर, तीसरा भी है। ये इधर गन मशीन लेकर खड़ा है, भी गया और एक ये ऊपर में है। तो जी लेवल 7 कंप्लीट हो चुका है। तो जी लेवल 7 कंप्लीट हो चुका है, देखते हैं। तो जी लेवल 7 कंप्लीट हो चुका है। मिलते हैं नई मज़ेदार वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज़।